Welcome back to another episode of the Dave and Vinno Show. Almost the last one of the year. Still got a couple to go, but mate, it will be the last one in this house. So we'll make it hopefully make it a good one.
You look like you're the last thing in the house, mate.
Apart from a couple of fucking things I've still got here, but yeah, it's all cleared out. It's all happening.
That looks good.
Yeah.
You gotta be happy that it's all happening, right?
I'll be happy next week
done.
when it's done. Yeah. So it's it hasn't been too bad so far, but it's going to be a hectic 24 hours when we actually get the keys and got to move in, have this one cleaned and be out. So it's all good. But tonight, mate, got a very special treat for you. We've been wanting to do it for a little while now. We've been saying that we're going to have some guests on. So we've managed to get two on with us tonight. From a local band. They started late 2000s. Had a bit of a hiatus and kicked back off around 2016 with a bit of a new lineup. I'll get them to go for a full rundown on the history of the band and some of their new stuff coming through. But tonight we have got with us Micka and Darcy from No Quarter. So here they are. Boys, welcome. Thanks for coming on. Like we said, Darcy and Micka on here to talk to us about No Quarter and our new album that's just come out this year. Boys, how you going?
Good, man. Cheers for having us on.
Thank you.
Good to
Appreciate
meet you.
it.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming on, boys.
So, boys, give us a bit of a rundown on No Quarter as a band. Like, where did it? How long have you been running for, and where did it start from originally?
Next year in, I think it's March, will be 20 years. So,
Holy shit!
Fuck, 20 years.
yeah.
Holy
20
shit.
years.
Holy shit.
And you
Just-
don't look a day over 21, Micka, either. Like,
Yeah. I'm doing all right, I guess. That's all. Wear a hat, but all my hair's gone. But
You a hat on
mate.
too. Been needing a hat lately.
yeah, it feels weird to say it out loud. I guess 20 years, but yeah. So Singleton. The only person left from that lineup in 2003 is Chris, the singer. So basically, what happened? Chris and a couple of his mates were sitting around a fire at a party in Singleton. Old school Singleton farm parties like they used to. And
With it like a washer for a fucking
yeah, the
fire.
old centrifuge basket with a bonfire in the middle.
Yep, that's exactly it. And Dan, the old bass player, was sick of listening to the shit music at parties and turned to his brother Matt and said, let's start a band and write our own music. Like, sick of listening to, whatever pop music or dance music or whatever was on at the time. And Matt turned to him and said, yeah, righto, but I want to be cool and play the guitar like you can play the bass, because no one wants to play bass. And they just went from there. It's like Cameron, the old singer, they knew him. He could sing and write music. He was a bit older than them. And Chris became the drummer because he was probably the only drummer in Singleton or within a 60-kilometre radius of Singleton, because, as you know, drummers are just nowhere.
Few and far between.
Yeah, so they kicked along for a while doing gigs at pubs and floor shows at pubs or anywhere that'll have them down Newcastle and Hunter Valley. Paris ended up joining a couple of, or maybe about 12, but I don't know when Paris joined. Maybe six months after that, bit after. So there was the five of them right up until 2005 when I joined. Basically, Cameron, his kids were getting older. He's getting too busy. So he left, and then I knew Chris from work, and I tried out as a singer, and that didn't work. So Chris started singing, and I jumped on the drums, and that's the lineup we had for probably 10 years. We did all the hard yards early on. We gigged every weekend, doing all those mixed bill gigs at pubs where no one gave a fuck about you, and you'd be playing with like a Slipknot style heavy band 1 minute and a pop band the next, and we did that for probably full on up until 2008 when Chris moved to Queensland. We managed to record an EP in 2010, Lodestar, which was our second EP. Had a bit of a break then, like me and Kira built a house, got married, Chris moved away.
Life gets in the road, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like I still kept in touch with Chris pretty often, and Matt and Dan are actually my wife's brothers. So obviously I saw them a lot, and I had 7 songs I'd written, and I rang Chris and said, let's do another EP, and he went, if I'm coming down from Brisbane, then let's do an album and record some of the songs we did earlier that we just wanted to make a bit better, weren't happy with.
Yep.
So that ended up being Freedom. Those 7 songs plus the 5 old ones end up being the Freedom album.
Yep.
Freedom just took a very long time because we started recording it, and Darcy helped us demo it. That's when Darcy was always sort of around us anyway because he was in other local bands that we played with. But he helped us do the demos for the album. And then as we went to gear up to record it, Matt and Dan said they couldn't do it any longer. So Darcy joined properly as a guitar player. And then we lost the album for 8 months because the person who we were recording it with had some stuff going on in his life. And so we pretty much couldn't do anything for 8 months. And then when we got it, it was a mess. So we pretty much recorded it twice. And by that stage, Paul came on and Josh came on. We knew them from other bands we'd played with back in the day. We've had that lineup since probably, Freedom come out in 2017. So I reckon, what'd you say, Darcy, 2016-ish?
Something like that, man. With the full lineup, I was just thinking about it then. So 2017 was Freedom's release, but that was like a fucking
we started
Chinese democracy. Like, that took a long time to 3 years to record. Yeah, right. So yeah, that I guess my involvement even goes back further than 2017. But the current lineup, like, we released the record, and we're like, we want to fucking get out and play this thing now. So we needed to get a full lineup happening, and that's when we had at the same time I was mucking around with this old band of mine, and we never played a show, and it was called Lethbridge, and Vinno was the drummer in that, and like, fuck it, we want to play a show like before we call it quits on this thing. And Micka played bass for us, and we got Paulie, the other guitarist in No Quarter now, to play guitar on that. And then we're like, how good's fucking playing music together? Like, Paulie, do you want to play guitar in No Quarter? And
just for the rest of the time, can we refer to Paulie as his actual name, please? It's and I'll throw a photo up right now. It's fucking Merv from Home Alone, right? So
is it Merv or Marv? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Marv
from Home Alone.
No, he's
That, anyway,
Marv.
you would have seen that picture. Just so from now on, it's no longer Paulie, it's Marv. And the reason he couldn't be here tonight, everyone, is because he's gearing up for Christmas. He's going back for fucking Kevin McKell. All right, so
he's sneaking around Curry right now looking for houses.
Can we put in a fucking Marv, Paulie? Can we put one of them in?
it's already gone up. Yeah, it's going to be the comparison.
I have to say, Vinno sent me a picture the other day. He's like, hey man, look at this guy, looks like Marv from Home Alone. I was like, all right, and I'm waiting for it, and it came up, and I was like, yep, there it is.
It wasn't even the comparison. I just
nah, he just sent me the picture. There was no side by side. It was like,
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
If I could ask you, is No Quarter the name? Is that's like means like no mercy or no, like no pity, right? Is that where that comes from? Like,
Yeah, they actually. So that night, the boys were sitting around the campfire. They said we need a name, and I don't know, tossed up a heap of names. But the song "No Quarter" by Led Zeppelin come on, and they said,
Yeah,
"What about
yeah.
No Quarter?" And they went, "That's it. It stuck."
Yep.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like a requirement? I remember Maddie saying to me one time, like, "Oh, we discussed it needed to have something with a number in it, and then the quarter thing just suited." So
Yeah, I know they spoke about it a while that night, and said that song come on. But you got to remember too, like these guys would have been at that stage, 18, 19, blind around a campfire at 2 in the morning or something. So I can imagine what the conversation was like.
They've done well just to remember parts of it and come up with a name that night. Because, and to follow on, because as we all know, you get around a campfire with a few beers and all the ideas come out, and then by the next morning it's like, yeah, it can't be fucked.
But I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys know this, but that's literally how this podcast started.
Yeah.
So when we did
Campfire.
Fireside Yarns, it was literally out Bondi's back garden by a fire, but it was in Branga, I was in Brankston, and we're like,
Yeah, of
man,
course,
we are
yeah.
talking, we are talking about fucking, conspiracies and fucking crazy shit the whole night. And we're like, man, this is, just like Joe Rogan and all, and we're like, wow, we should record this. Yeah, we just fucking did, and we called it Fireside Yarns, and yeah. And then that spun into this, and
Yeah,
it's funny. That's very
yeah.
how
So
it
the old
happens.
campfires, they get the creative juices flowing, don't they?
They fucking do, man.
That's what you do growing up in the Hunter Valley too, like, which I think for me coming in 2 years later, like, find 5 people back then in the same radius that were all into a similar style of music to be able to do a band together, and find it back then, and then find it again when I joined, and then find it again with Darcy. And like, I think we've been lucky in that regard to be able to keep it going for so long,
Yeah. And especially
Yeah.
too, like, because punk isn't as I won't say mainstream, but it's not so much in the focus anymore. Pop punk is definitely kicking back
Well,
off.
in
but
rural
punk
areas,
is-
particularly, right?
yeah, but even in Newcastle, like the punk and the hardcore scene has diminished quite a bit from those
Massively,
2000s and the later or the 2010s. So the fact that you
everywhere.
guys are still going and pushing it for this area is huge. Like it's.
But you try and when we check around the country, like trying to book shows and play with other bands with a similar style to us, like where we go to Melbourne, there's like a handful of bands that'll work. You go to Brisbane, like Brisbane's got a massive music scene, but like bands that play similar stuff to us, like it's definitely a genre that's massively on the down. Like,
Which is crazy because Melbourne used to have such a big scene, didn't it? Like it, especially alternative music and punk, hardcore, metal, those sorts of things. It was
everything's like either heavier or lighter. Like, there's not a lot of fast bands around, like fast skate punky bands. Like you got your fast hardcore bands which are heavier, and then you got your metal bands which are slow and bouncy and riffier and like whatever else. But stuff that's sort of that Fat Wreck sound of the '90s.
Yep.
Not a lot around anymore. Like we're all
That's you sum that up.
Yeah.
Sum that up pretty good there. Fat Records sound. I think like you go out in Melbourne and Brisbane and whatnot, and you'll find alternative music like on the weekend, like every night. But yeah, like that sort of sound that this band is basing itself around. It's I'm not going to say a thing of the past, but Vinno, you said to me last night when we first saw each other's faces in a little while there that we've got a few greys in the beard, and you've lost a few hairs yourself, mate. So yeah, it's definitely maybe it is a thing of the past.
not an ounce of hair on this body, mate. But going on to what you were saying about the genre and those sorts of things. So that's like when it comes down to your style of music and what you prefer to play, what are a lot of your influences when it comes to say writing riffs and those sorts of things?
Yeah, man. like my three favorite bands are Pennywise, Propagandy, and Avenged Sevenfold. My music is like all the shit that I write for this band. Like you can hear those three bands in just about anything I write. Yeah, they've been pretty influential for me. Like I remember, I got to a point where I could just like listen to any Pennywise song and just work it out by ear. And I thought, fuck me dead. Like I don't need to get any better as a guitarist at all. Like I'm at where I need to be. And then
I can do any of Fletcher's songs. I'm happy.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then I heard City of Evil by Avenged Sevenfold, and as soon as I heard that, I was like fucking on the phone, like organising guitar lessons again. That is the single most influential record of my guitar playing. Yeah, 100%.
Actually, it's funny you say that. Like I remember when Darcy used to play in his other band before he joined No Quarter, and it was second draw. Was it called Darcy?
Yeah, that was like way back. Like
Yeah. Like I remember Darcy from back in those days and playing and singing. It was like that gutter mouth Pennywise sort of sound. And years later, when he started jamming with us, when Paris left halfway through recording Freedom, we went and had a jam at our old bass player's house, and I hadn't seen Darcy play guitar for years, and we were just like, holy shit, like this dude's been back at lessons tenfold. Like it was nuts. So yeah, so you heard that album overnight and then went away to like a guitar school for 12 months. And
Lost himself in his room.
It's pretty much what it was, man. And I went to in Singleton at Hunter Guitars, Anthony's store there. I don't know if you remember that. But,
I remember Anthony. I bought a fucking Dimebag washboard from him, and he had me. Do you remember? He probably did this with you. He take you out the front with the amps, and you play on the fucking street. Yeah, although man, he was cool, and he's a Kiwi. I remember named it. I won't name his son, but he named his son after a very famous guitarist. And he had a fucking he got his citizenship on the same day as me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I know that.
He was a cool dude. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he lives in Canberra now too.
Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah, picked up shop.
Yeah.
I know he sold the shop years ago. Like years ago now.
Be hard to run a guitar shop and sing all right. Like it's
You got lots of kids that walk in there and just want to shred on a guitar and then fuck off and not give you any money, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like that. I was learning guitar with this guy James Dolson at Hunter Guitars, and he was a shredder, man. He was so good, and we would just like we'd get in there and just like. It was a half-hour lesson. We'd spend 20 minutes just fucking around on YouTube, just like checking like Eddie Van Halen out and Megadeth and all this shit. Like, it was cool. It was fucking fun. But yeah, no, I got a lot better playing guitar during that period. And then shortly after that, I moved out of my parents and was living with mates. And you know, I was just always out the front, smoking darts and playing the guitar and all the rest. So yeah, definitely got a lot better on the guitar. Now I struggle to find time to play the bloody thing these days.
Dad life, man.
Yeah,
That's it.
Micka, almost the same question for you, man. When it comes to ideas for drumming and those sorts of things with the songs, do you listen to the riffs and go in with almost a preconceived idea, or do you draw from a lot of your influences, and what are those?
I actually hate writing drums. I write a lot of. It's funny, even though I'm a drummer, I've written a lot of the guitar music ever since I joined the band, because I was a guitarist first before I started playing the drums. So a lot of the Freedom songs are mine. Well, not mine. Like I don't write songs like, this is my song, this is how it's going to be. We all still write a song together. Someone will come up with an idea. Yeah, and then other people add parts, and it's all cool. Like I'm not the type of person that writes a song and says, "No, you can't put that here" or whatever. But a lot of those songs I brought to the table, and a lot on Fear and Loathing as well. So I write a riff and a song based off the bands I listen to, like Strung Out, Wilhelm Scream, bands like that, Lagwagon, like they're probably my three big ones. And then, I know that if the song's fast, which most of them all are, but where the halftime beats are going to be. And I find for me now, the easiest way to write drums is because I'm hopeless at sitting behind a drum kit and writing fills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I actually write them on MIDI because I can hear them and picture where I want to put stuff and then just go and make sure I can play it.
Yeah.
So,
Vinno knows about Guitar Pro. We've
I reckon.
Well, it was interesting that you said that because, like, when we were doing Lethbridge, with a lot of the songs that you guys had already written before I joined that, and you've always showed me how to do, like, write the MIDI tracks, and I started playing around with it, and it's an eye opener, and it makes things so much easier because instead of grinding, doing the same beat, and you find yourself just going around and around in a circle. You can add stuff, write it in, fucking walk away and come back with a clearer head, or you'll go and listen to other music and come back and it'll be almost a completely different track by the time you finish with it, and you're not in that same dead end circle, so to speak, of getting in the shed and just listening to it and trying to play. Like,
us, like, practicing drums is annoying. Like, my neighbours must hate me.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I've got good neighbours and I'm smart about when I practice, but
because you've got no silencing pads or anything on it, you just
I get in my garage and I practice like I play. Like I've got a decent setup so I can hear me. It's like a Yamaha setup, so it's like mic's me kit, so I can hear it in my ears and I can mix it with music, and I practice like I'm playing with the boys. So, like, practicing drums, especially our style of music with that snare at 220 beats a minute constantly, is fucking brutal. So to be able to write drums and just be like playing with fills and going, oh, what if I, right hand, left hand, and what if I put a kick there instead of another right hand? Like, just playing with that helped me write heaps better fills on the Fear and Loathing album. Like,
yep,
probably one of the best things. Like, I don't think MIDI drums. Record an album with them, I don't really agree with. I think, like, you should always go and record real drums.
absolutely.
But there's massively pros to it, like being able to program and hear stuff and demo stuff with it. Like, it's for me, it's been awesome. So,
Well, even with
with
and I'm not sure how you went writing Freedom and Fear and Loathing, but like playing with Ollie and Darcy with the really weird timing patterns, being able to sit down and throw shit in there so that it actually fits in with the bar, each bar. Whereas normally I'd be sitting there and I'd be doing my fucking head in because something would be off and I wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. But
you can never quite hear shit properly when you're jamming with four blokes in a garage and what's going on. Like, you can never hear where it's supposed to be. So, I mean, and I'm hopeless at reading music. I'm still fucking terrible. Like, I'm better than I was, and I can sit there now and, like, some of the guitar stuff I write, I'll tab out for the boys using Guitar Pro so they can just learn at home. And like, I think I've come a long way. But Darcy must look at me sometimes and just think, man, you're the drummer. How do you not know this shit? Like, I have to say to him, like, Darcy, why doesn't this sound right? And he goes, oh, man, it's because that's in 3/4. You need to. I'm like, oh, yeah, right. So, yeah, so that's.
Yeah, well, like, going off what you were saying before about the weird timings and that, I honestly, the stuff that I joined this band that had, already had fans and had a sound established and all the rest. I've kind of thrown the weird shit out the window, to be honest. It's like, I wrote songs like they would be no quarter songs, basically. I'm not, there is some shit that's not 4/4 in the latest record. We've got some 7/4 stuff. But I don't adventure too far in that, because I didn't want to come into the band and change the sound of it. So We got that very melodic, sort of strung out, pulley sound, and people that dig it, they really dig it. So we get messages from people saying like, this song changed my fucking life or something like that. So people are appreciating what we're doing. So
Yeah, man.
I guess if we could
I
go
don't wanna
back with
fucking
the
change that.
songwriting process, still, is it always music first, and then do you kind of have an idea about what you want to talk about, or do you hear the song and think, man, that makes me want to talk about this? Like,
Usually, and I can't speak for how Darcy does it, but I'll write a riff and then I'll put chords around it. I haven't written one like solos I'm hopeless with, so all the solos are either Darcy's or Paul's.
Because Paul's a shredder, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
there's some on this Fear and Loathing album. I'll get into it in some of the tracks, but there's some fucking beautiful little shreddy bits there. Some good little solos in there for sure.
That's all Darcy and Paul. Like I'll do all the riffs and chords, and there's a couple of tappy riffs and stuff I did, but as far as solos, I'm useless. So I write a song and then I'll go, right, what are we going to sing about? Yeah, topic, and then make things fit. So usually I'll come up with a melody and show Chris, then Chris will change the melody based on what I've given him. Like he'll use it as a starting point, but then he'll change it to what suits him, and then we just make the words fit around that. So that's how I've always done it. All the songs that I've ever written for No Quarter.
Every guitar solo that sounds like it's straight out of 1980s fucking EVH playbooks is straight Paul Clements. Yeah, sorry, Marv. Straight Marv. Yeah,
Mate, he's got. It's beautiful. It does have that 80s sound with some of his little shreddy bits at the end there, man. It is. I gotta say, a very, very big fan of it.
Yeah, cool.
Very
yeah,
glam metal.
and I wasn't even
Long distance has one on the end of it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He wrote the music to that song.
I like that one, and I like the little pinch harmonics in the chorus, you know. Just at the end of the riff.
well, that was Micka's idea. That one.
Well, I do. Yeah, I'm a fucking Randy Rhodes, Zach Wilde, Dimebag Darrell, pinch harmonic loving motherfucker. Like, so just to hear that at the end there, I was like, nice. So I do like that long distance song's good. That fucking stuck to me a little bit.
It's funny, like that song gets a lot of love, and I think it's a great song, but it's probably my least favorite of the album.
Oh, that's mad. Yeah.
Yeah, weird. I mean, it's a good song, but I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't grab me like the rest. I don't know.
Well, I love that style, so maybe that's where it popped out. That and it's a bit. There's some other songs on the album as well that are a bit trashy, kind of have that 80s trashy kind of down picky shit that I love. And so I'd be wondering if we go through it a bit, which ones are really specialty is.
Go right through each album. I'd like to hear boys' favourites and stuff like that. But we'll get to that in a minute.
With the new album, or we'll
come into it.
Freedom a bit first.
Come into it. Still just moving up towards or like Darcy coming in, feeding into the band through Freedom and the process for that album. What was obviously with Paris leaving halfway through and having to find new lineup and then doing shows off the back of that. Was that almost like the band restarting again, or did it feel new, or just felt good to be back in doing it?
Oh, look, for a long time. So when we did the Lodestar EP, I always wanted to do a reunion show off that, and then it never worked. And then so we sort of moved on to starting recording Freedom. And I think in my mind, I always thought if we can get through and doing a whole album, like I'm going to make sure this time we do some shows with it. And I never intended it to end up where we are now. Like that was like miles away from my mind, right? So I just thought we'll do a show in Newey, and then we'll do a show up in Brisbane for Chris, for all his mates up there, because by that stage he'd been living up there for, he moved up there in 2008, 9, so when we started doing Freedom, he'd been up there for 5 years already and whatnot. And then so Harris and Matt and Dan all got the demos that I did with Darcy. And they were all starting to learn them to track them. And then that's simply the last we ever heard of Paris. Like, he just vanished. And we were trying to get hold of him, and I was trying everywhere, like to his missus and to his mates, and basically trying to say, where you up to, man? And in the background at this time, you know, we sort of did demos, and then I went and did drums, and it got to the point where, like, Darcy had been the demo stage with us, and he knew most of the songs, and he'd started adding bits and pieces on top of me riffs, and we were just like, well, fuck, we can't wait forever. Darcy's like here, Paris is not. Darcy, you may as well just do it. And at that stage, we didn't know if Paris was going to come back or whatever. So he went, and then Matt and Dan also went, we don't have time to do this. So between me and Darcy and Chris, we recorded most of the album. Then Josh and Paul sort of come in at the end of it when we realised Matt and Dan, Kira's brothers, weren't able to commit to shows or learn all the songs enough to record. And they were cool. Like, there's no animosity or shit like that. Like, they came to a lot of the recording sessions and still gave opinions. And even on Fear and Loathing, like, they come and hang out and they come to our shows, and Matt played a song.
And that was really good.
Yeah, like Matt's really good to have. Like, he's really good to help build songs with. He just doesn't have the time to learn them, and you know, it takes a lot of time to trek around the country sometimes. And he just, so they're still involved as much as they want to, and we're all been happy to have him involved as much as they want to as well.
Yep.
Paris did end up eventually ringing us and said sorry, he had some stuff going on, and I thought we'd hear from him more often. But then since then he's vanished again. I had one phone call from him, and it's now been in years again. And I'm trying to contact him now we're doing a 20th anniversary show next year. I want to get a couple of line-up boys to get up and play a few songs. And I know he's read me messages, and I know he's not interested. So, which is a shame. But sorry, so a bit of a sidetrack there. But that's how Darcy ended up.
Paris, if you're out there, answer your phone, mate. Yeah.
Call me, mate. Like,
Listen,
don't care about all this other shit. Call me. Let's have a beer and come play some with us.
if you don't call Micka, we're sending Marv around there to fuck your house up over Christmas.
He's going to steal your shit.
And flood your house. Yeah. But Darcy, that's how it came apart. He just sort of slid in, and then we were recording with someone else. Darcy had started to get right into engineering and recording because he did all the demos for us, and he started buying all the gear. And then old mate said he didn't want to do it anymore. But that's the very, very short version of that. It's massive how long it took. As I said, 8 months. We lost it. We got it back. It was a mess. And Darcy just went, I can do this. I can fix it.
Stepped up. Look at him. He stepped up.
Man. He did. And he went whole hog. He started fucking researching, recording stuff and plugins and EQing, and like, man, the amount of time he put into learning how to do that shit, like self-taught. And yeah, it took over Freedom, and it ended up turning into what it did. And because it went so well, like, you know, skate punkers picked it up, and melodic punk style heard a demo of it and said, I want to release your album. And I think that's why we ended up doing more shows, because it kind of got bigger than I ever intended. Like, I just wanted to do an album for us, but
it is a fucking great album, and especially hearing the re-recordings from when you did Lone Star, and you've put them onto Freedom as well. To hear those again, like, I mean, 100 meters. I remember listening to that on Lone Star, right? And then when I was listening to Freedom for the first time, and he had just finished it, and I think Darcy gave me a copy, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, fuck this. Like, that song was already awesome, and it's just sounds so much fucking better this time. Like, it was just a huge step forward, I think. But it was really cool hearing those older songs on that album too. So
yeah, I went back and listened to the first demo the boys did before I even joined the band the other day, to hear, like, because there's some songs off that which we recorded for Freedom, like KFC and IKY, and hearing how much they changed and how much things got better over the years, like and not just us five as we are now, like Matt and Dan, like and Chris, has everyone improved over time? Like how much better the songs got, and you know, we knew what to put in and what to take out, and Darcy, like, he recorded them really well and captured it. Like, I listen to Freedom now and I think, oh, I'd probably change this, I'd probably change that, but I think at the time, like, it's for the experience we all had as well, for Darcy's first major project.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, full acknowledgement. It's a good record, and you know, some awesome songs on there, well-written songs. Personally, if I put my sound engineer hat on, I do struggle with that record, as you know, considering how Fear and Loathing sounds. It's just a progression, you know, like you learn a skill, you get better. There's a lot of improvements could be made on Freedom.
Yeah, but when
sound
you look
engineering wise.
and you just said it yourself, right? It's a progression. So you'd never really done it before, and you'd only just started and stepped up to the plate to get that record over the line. And made it like, that's you being a critic of yourself, because when you listen to that album, you focus on the music. There's nothing in there where you sort of go, he's fucked up. Like now that we mention it, everybody's going to go back and listen to it, right? And they're going to go, Darcy fucked up. But no.
Do you think your next album after Fear and Loathing, you're going to look back at Fear and Loathing and you're going to be like, oh man, fucking, you know, do you think you're always going to look back at songs you writ, and as well as the way you produce them, you're always going to look back and think, man, I could have done that better. But like you said, the more you become more skilled and find different ways of doing things.
Yeah. Oh, look, you're probably right, Dave. But I think me and Micka both agree that we've given all we've got on that last record. It's gonna take a lot of convincing to Micka, myself, and both our wives to allow us to do another record. So,
but saying that,
you've only this year, isn't it?
You've
this
only
is 2020. You only released it 2022. You gotta, you know, you gotta let it speak for itself before you put anything else out, right? Or even
exactly, coming out this year. It's kicked ass this year, man. We got our Spotify numbers there, and we got just shy of 50,000 streams for the year. Which is
that's good.
It's exceeded my expectations of the record.
50,
and you know, like, think about 50,000, and that's like Spotify, and then you've got Apple. You know, Deezer, all the rest. Oh, probably not Deezer. We had a few problems with Deezer.
It's on Deezer now, but fuck, it wasn't for ages. Anyway,
it's on. Did you message old mate that was asking for it on Deezer?
I did. Yeah. He's probably the only person that's listened to it on Deezer. I fixed it for him, so
it's like us
it's a bit
on
different
Spotify,
than making CDs for everyone, right?
Yeah, it is. But it's funny. Like, a lot of people, you know, Spotify and it's bad, but like for a little band like us, like, I'm not naive. We get to trek around the country now and meet new people and play shows in little bars everywhere, like, simply because of media like Spotify and stuff. If we were still doing it the old way with CDs, it wouldn't be happening for us. So I'm not naive in that regard. So it's definitely another thing where there's pros and cons.
Oh, look, I think it's got a lot of pros for that in that regard, right? Because, like you said, you can go around the country and people can access that music, or if they see you straight on a flyer, they can.
Straight away.
Oh, I've never heard No Quarter before. They're coming to play with so and so. I'll get on and have a listen to them, and that's you're getting that exposure, man. Absolutely.
You just get songs dumped in suggested playlists and stuff. Like, I get messages from people in European countries and around the world in broken English. Like, I heard this song, it means this to me. Thanks much. And I'm like, man, I just wrote this song one day in my fucking lounge room. Like,
I was pissed drunk sitting around a fire when I wrote it.
Like, it's just, for me, and especially like if you were to tell teenage me, that's just far exceeded anything I thought I'd ever achieve in my music career. So it's
awesome.
pretty cool.
So
but yeah, another album. Fucking not.
You
not
need to-
any time.
you need to have a break from it. I think you've burnt
I
out for
think
this
so,
one.
like,
It takes years. It takes years between albums. Even the best people to do it don't think about the next album until fucking the other one's in the rear view, right?
When we were doing Freedom, I kind of knew there'd be another one relatively quickly because of all the changes we were going through and Paul and Darcy coming online. But I already had songs written for the next album when we were writing Freedom. But ever since finishing Fear and Loathing, like I haven't written a single thing, not one. I'm not even like I just wrote 2 albums. I'm not writing another one anytime soon. So.
Yeah, but if you try now though, you'd be forcing it, and that won't be a good album then because
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Is that a good feeling? Is that a good feeling?
is.
Like you've expended it. It's like I've got it. I've created my art. Yeah.
And now I can just enjoy playing live, and yeah, it is. You're right. So that's cool. But as Darcy said too, like the wives, like I think all the band mums in our band are band wives, are very supportive. We call them band mums because they look after us as well. But like Alana, so Darcy's wife, like the amount of hours Darcy spends behind a computer, there's a lot of time that takes away from their relationship. And then like when we record, we do the drums in the studio, but everything else, vocals, guitars, we do at my house. We take over my whole house for weekends or weeks, and so I'm lucky. My missus is very supportive. So
That's
I think it's not just a decision on me and Darcy and boys to go right. Let's record again. Like it'd be a whole you've got to take wives and kids into consideration, and at the moment it's not on the radar. So
cheers to the
I'm
girls
back.
again though. Cheers to the girls. That
yeah.
I think as blokes we all know that we wouldn't be able to do anything without them. So
I know some people might say it's cheesy, but I know that where I've gotten to would not have even been close without Kira. And my daughters, Kaylin and Asher, and some of the stuff like that they say and do and the way they go about it, like definitely.
like that old saying, mate, and it's very true.
jeez.
Behind every successful man is a strong woman. It's
Definitely.
Yeah. We're all like I think, and the older you get, the more you realize how important your fucking family is. And I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think it's just it's refined. It's it's your true priorities. No, but it's still good. It takes a community, right? Nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool.
and I suppose it would have that, like those albums would have that little bit more meaning to them as well because of that. Because it's not just you guys in there; it's that family element, and it wouldn't have been successful and gotten to where it is without that
Yeah.
family commitment. So
Yeah, especially like I've got a long lounge room, like as you can see, like lounge room here, TV, and then that's where we used to set up the computers behind the lounge for all the recording. So like we'd have friends over, my missus, and like they'd all be sitting here watching TV, having drinks, and we'd be sitting over there recording. Like it was
it looks
very
like
much.
looks like a really good space for a house show, to be honest. Like
It actually will be, and I'm actually thinking I turn 40 next year, and someone said to me the other day, I think I was talking to one of my old mates, like, I can remember what it used to be like being a teenager having parties.
Oh,
like
man.
no one has proper house parties anymore, and I was like, I'd love to do a house party for my 40th, but I haven't told my missus yet. She'll probably kill me. So.
yeah, let the album
see.
die down first.
Yeah.
Speaking of albums, let's get into Freedom. The reason why I want to get into this is because you did a video clip on Freedom as well, didn't you? For Abandoned Ship, This Fucker's Sinking, which is probably my favourite song off that album. It's just, I think it was the first song I heard for that album, and I just went, holy fuck, this is sick. So Freedom itself, as I mentioned before, there's a few re-recordings on there, but I want to get your take on what your favourite song is, each of yours, from that album.
You can go first, Das. I've been talking a fair bit.
My one is The Air Up There, I think. I'll probably say that one. It's got a personal meaning towards Micka, who lost a family member there. So it's got good meaning. you can feel that in the songwriting, especially obviously the lyrics. You know, I was charged with doing the guitar solo, and I was pretty proud of that solo. Yeah, it's probably one of my better ones, I think. Yeah, just the way that song turned out, I was really happy with it. Obviously, like you said, Abandoned Ship is probably if you had to say what's the most popular song on the record, it'd probably be that one.
I reckon it's one of our most popular songs.
Yeah. We've started like we're always tinkering with our set list, but it's always there, and we've actually started finishing our sets with that song too. So it's but no, yeah, up there for me.
It's just got some. The reason I like Abandoned Ship is it's got some really interesting connotations in there, and sort of take it many ways, but catchy as fuck as well. But yeah, Air Up There, man, it's a fucking good one. Track number 4.
I love I've always been proud of the riff on that one. And the song meaning, I guess it's about my first grandfather that passed away. So
yeah,
it was very hard to play live for a long time. It still is every now and then. Yeah, but I still think probably I reckon Abandoned Ship's the best song on the album. And I always like Lost Boys as well. So that was pretty cool, the closer. I got a Peter Pan sleeve because of it. So I got a tattoo for each one of our albums, and that Peter Pan one was for the Freedom album. So
yeah, nice.
I don't know, there's just something about going out in a band and being 38 years old and staying up late and drinking and playing punk rock that kind of makes you feel a bit like Peter Pan. So
like a lost boy.
That's it.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, that's what brings you back to your teenage and childhood roots, doesn't it? Like it's
to your youth,
your way to stay young. And looking at the color of Darcy's beard, he needs everything he can to try and stay young. So.
Yeah. Totally.
Don't cover it up now. Oh,
look at Vinno attacking hair on people. Like,
hey, I've got to.
Who would have thought?
Because I've fucking got none. I've got none. So I will attack every inch of hair that people have.
I remember when you did have hair, Vinno. It was glorious.
Blonde curly locks, eh?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, they went.
Cherub.
They went real quick. Dave, did you get a chance to? You've had to listen to Freedom.
I listened to Fear and Loathing, so I'm all hyped for that at the moment. But again, like I wasn't there for when Vinno and all kind of I'd left Singo by that time, and I'm just kind of listening to No Quarter now for anyone who's listening. And I listened to Fear and Loathing, but I was recommended to listen to Freedom, and I just couldn't fit it in. But I want to go back now because I kind of feel like it's obviously when Darcy came in, so it's a little bit it's a shift. But it's like they took from their original album, and it's kind of like it's a great album to get into, right?
Yes.
That's the connector.
As
so
Micka was letting on, they scissored it. They scissored it together.
Yeah, scissor your boys.
Scissor me too.
In hindsight, we took the old and scissored it with the new.
I want to get in. I want to scissor that album. That's next
on his list.
Now there was some songs that the boys said that so yeah, like Micka, I bought a recording interface, like a single channel fucking recording interface. Started fucking around, and on the piss one night said, "Oh, Micka might want to hear this shit." Emailed like 2-3 tracks to Micka, and said, "Hey man, I haven't spoken to you in fucking 10 years. Here's some songs," and he said, "They're great. You should come record No Quarter. We've got some demos." They're great. I'm just gonna fucking put them off to the side. Come and listen to No Quarter stuff. So yeah, no, we done that, and we had like seven, I think it was, and then the other boys said, well, Chris, he said if we're doing a record, like a full album, then this song, I thought weren't recorded the way that we play them live, so I'd like to do them again, and yeah, all of a sudden it was padded out. You know, some redos and some new songs, and there's enough there for a record. So,
Fuck yeah.
Mickey, you got some more thoughts on that, or?
Well, one question that I've got, you did a video clip for that album, didn't you, with Abandoned Ship?
Yeah.
Right. I suppose the question would be, would you mind us throwing that up now so that people can have a quick look while we go and have
Go for
a
it.
cheeky little piss break?
Go
All
for
right.
it.
So, guys,
Good look, mate.
instead of the usual ad or our corny fucking thumbnails and music that we put up, which, hey, it's not corny because we need to bring back that Indian song for sure. Here is No Quarter, Abandoned Ship, This Fucker's Sinking. See you after this. Welcome back, guys, and hopefully you did enjoy that video clip, and not only that, but the song. We'd be really keen to hear your thoughts, and if you haven't already, just from the start of the episode, get the fuck on Spotify, Apple Music, is it that you guys are on as well?
There'll be a link in the description as well of all these videos, and whatever you're watching this on, in the description, you'll be just able to click on that.
Yeah.
Check out Abandoned Ship. I just heard that song for the first time because I didn't hear that Freedom album, and that intro, that beautiful underwater guitar kind of little shreddy riff there, fucking beautiful. And really nice fucking song. And I want to ask you, I noticed there was a bit, it was talking about kind of maybe refugees or boat people or something like that. There was a reference near the end in Sydney, or what was it? The land down under. He said something about Australia in there. What aspect? Like, yeah, what's the song about? Am I hitting on anything there, or?
Yeah, it's funny. Like so again with that song, wrote the music first, and then like the aggressive sound of it. I had the song title, and I've always wanted to. And I did the same with Devil's Trick, like have the song title and the words sort of play on a theme. So I wanted to make it like a sinking ship thing, just based on how fucked up the world was at the time. So I just basically went through and picked out a heap of shit that made us angry, and then we wrote about it. So the way that at the time there was a heap of people carrying on about boat people and immigrants.
On back the boats and all that shit.
Yeah, all that shit at that time. And I was just like, fucking hell, like, look how much room we have in Australia. Like, for these people to go through what they go through just to get here at another chance at life, and you're worrying about that shit. Like, so that was that bit. And I saw another video. So I talk about a bloke called Kelly Thomas who was beaten to death by police in America on camera, and they all got away with it. And I remember seeing the video of that at the time, and that made me fucking angry. And he was sober, he was unarmed. I think he like homeless. So like just everything about that story made me angry.
And it relates today too on so many levels. That's the
it does. So that's why I guess why people can still relate to it today. So any item in there was just something that was annoying me at the time, for us as well, because we all had input with the lyrics eventually. But and then the chorus. That's where that really the ship thing comes in, like abandoned ship. We've got to get off. We've got to, with the world sinking. So
this isn't working. Yeah, this is. Well, that intro has again underwater. Like it just felt. Which is a beautiful song. Check it out, everybody. Hey.
So I remember speaking of the chorus, when we were tracking it, we had a completely different chorus. Same words, but.
It was like twice as many words.
Yeah.
Lines, and we cut every second line out because it was just like too.
Yeah, well, you've got a backup, don't you? Now you've got the main kind of singer, and then you've got the kind of it kind of backing up behind it, right?
Yeah, and
well, that was another bloke who's not in the band who
he abandoned
a really good backup singer, and we like when we played it, we're like, oh shit, I gotta sing like that guy. Holy shit, how am I gonna do that?
He kind of has Sendog from Cypress Hill vibes, right?
I thought it was Frank Sinatra. Just fucking, they just summoned him.
He recorded our Lodestar EP. He was a singer in my other band, Hack the Mainframe, and he used to be in Weisheimer, and he recorded Lodestar for us. And at that stage, Darcy hadn't sung much. We needed backups, so now Darcy does all our backups.
So you're the backup singer now, Darcy?
I am. I wasn't on that record though. Okay. On that record, we had a good backup singer. Yeah, now we got moved.
It's humble.
But no,
it is very humble.
Going back to that chorus, there was the lyrics that were written for it, and it was sung a certain way. Or like, Chris, sing it this way, and then Chris didn't like it, and I end up saying, like, with me producer hat on, I end up saying, well, we've got the verse, which is really staccato and punchy and lots of words, and then we've got a chorus that's exactly the same. Let's like strip the chorus back. And then like Chris went in and stripped it back and just like, abandoned ship, this fucker's singing. And as soon as he done it, we just looked at each other and just said, that's it.
That's the one.
And it lets the music speak a bit more as well, right? It kind of highlights the actual riff a bit more, the melody.
It's a good change of pace, like
adds breath.
Yeah, that's what music is.
The
fucking ebbs and flows. Yeah.
The cool thing about that, and I didn't realize that until you just said it then, but listening to those backups, they've always had that Weisheimer almost signature backup feel.
We didn't even say the guy's name.
No, but even when I listened to that the first time, I was like, yeah, I can see that influence in there. So to know now that,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
direct
we didn't
input,
even say
direct
the
input
guy's
there.
name in my time. It's Heath Rowley. He done all the backups on that record.
Yeah. So, but that's, you listen to their music and they've got just this different way of doing the backups. And I always thought it was just you guys maybe listening to it at the time, using it as an influence, and that was showing through. It's cool. I've always loved the way that they do that. And that's one of the things that I do love about that song is it's got that feel to it, but it's also got your own style, but throwing a bit of that in there as well. There's almost a tribute, to Whiteheimer. But
That stood out to me when I was listening to it. That stood out to me. It's like,
cool.
oh, that's pretty cool. As someone who loves hip hop as well, that's like a hip hop thing too.
We gave him free reign too. We'd finished the album at that stage and just went, Heath, did you put backups on it? And he just,
fuck yeah, all right.
Darcy went down to his house one day and they sat there. I think they did it over 2 different times, but basically said, just track what you want. And then we just, and I think we kept most of it. There might have been a few bits and pieces here and there we cut out, just to help bring him in and out. But yeah, we just said,
it adds body to it, doesn't it? It really does, yeah.
It does, yeah.
And that we've been lacking in all our other. We knew in all our other releases that we've been lacking that in the past. So, which is why when we went to Fear and Loathing, it was a big goal of ours to write and record all our own backups. So, which went to Darcy to do.
Well, you do, and in Fear and Loathing, you do have a bit of that, and the chorusing, like you have the group kind of doing those kind of what would you call it? The chorusing, isn't it, together, and harmonies and stuff.
Yeah, the gangs and that, gang vocals and that.
Yeah, that's right. It sounds like a group is fucking there. It's fucking it's good.
So going back to like me learning shit and progressing, those couple of days I had with Heath completely changed the way I fucking tracked vocals. Like I come back to the next session and said, fuck all that, we're going to do it this way now. And it was a lot easier on Chris, the vocalist as well. Like, I was sitting there getting him to record the same things like 4 times, and I wouldn't even know if it was good or not. I just said, sing it 4 times, and then we'll just, cut and paste and make it good. And after that, we just said, no, let's sort of break it up a bit and make sure we're happy with this before we move on to this. Like, it just completely changed the way that I tracked. And hats off to that, to Heath. Like he used to do it professionally. So yeah, definitely helped me out for sure.
It sounds amazing. But now, in between Fear and Loathing and Freedom, you released an EP album, or an EP, an acoustic EP. Yeah. Now, at the time when this came out, I remember listening to it, and it was on Spotify. And when it gives you suggestions, the next album straight after that was Rise Against, and I thought that was really fucking cool. That it straight away threw you guys into the same category, so to speak, as those guys. The EP I'm talking about is the Air Up There acoustic EP, which is beautiful. Like, it's, as you were mentioning before, Micka, that song's pretty special to you. When you hear that from an acoustic aspect, even more powerful. And I thought it was a fucking fantastic EP. What was the reasoning for releasing an acoustic EP? Was it just to bridge the gap, or were you just a bit stagnant, or you would have been recording Fear and Loathing at the time, or writing for it?
Yeah, we knew we were going to do, when we were going to do Fear and Loathing, we had 15 songs, and then I wanted to add Air Out There acoustic as well, and we knew we were going to split some of them off for the EP. We knew My President was going to be on the EP. Well, actually, at that stage, we didn't know My President. We just knew a song that wasn't going to be good enough for the album. So it ended up being My President, which was just an old song we recorded. We knew we were going to do the cover, which I wanted to do for Paulie because it's something me and Paulie had talked about since I've known him. And then the Air Up There acoustic came about because I've actually had a few people message me about the Air Up There and what it meant to them for people they've lost.
Yep.
But a bloke in Queensland messaged me about his brother, and another friend I've got down here about his brother that was murdered and what that song meant to him. And, you know, if you ever do an acoustic version, let me know. And then also there was me Nan, who liked the song and liked the lyrics, and she like the lyrics are near where Pop's memorial is at the crematorium stuff. Like, she's like, oh, I'd love to hear it, like not in your style. So yeah, that's why we did it. And plus,
Like hear a good version of it.
yeah, basically. And me and Chris do acoustic stuff every now and then where, like, just at one of our shows, if we have the opportunity, we'll play a couple of note quarter songs, just me and him singing. And we've done it at open mic nights and shit. And we did one at Maitland, and Nan come and saw it, and we played it out there, and remember her crying and stuff. And when I actually recorded it and we finished it, I went and showed her, and it was pretty cool. She sat there and closed her eyes and listened. And my Nan's like, she'd be 88 now, I think, 89. Even when I was young and listening to like dude rants and shit, she used to always be hoops. Like, my family's into, I don't know, musicals and Les Mis and all that garbage, right? I went left field and was always into punk rock, and Nan was always, she'd listen to dude rants with me and whatever else. So she
Cool,
sat there
Nan.
and I showed
What a cool Nan.
Yeah, it was choice. So I wanted to do this for her, and she sat there and listened to it with her eyes closed, and like I was bawling my eyes out and shit. And she said, oh, that's what I wanted. She goes, I could close my eyes and I can feel me and Pop dancing to that. Like, and I was like,
wow. Powerful. Yeah.
done. So that's how that acoustic version of that came about. And for the other people who'd spoke to me about it, me mate Matt with his brother, and, you know, as soon as I had a copy of it, I sent it to him and said, I promised you I'd do this one day. Here it is. And because I generally don't listen to acoustic music that much. Like, I'd never do a full album of no quarter acoustic songs. I just don't. I don't know. That's not why I listen to the type of bands I do. Like, I don't want to hear a acoustic. Strung Out have got an acoustic album. I listened to it once, and I'm like, that's not what I want from that sort of band. So, so we just added on there with the, and it was, we had the image for the cover, so that's why it's first. And a lot of people get thrown. They think it's a whole EP of acoustic songs, but it's only that one. Then we did the Metallica cover, which we're pretty proud of, and then the My President. So it was just,
What Metallica cover did you do?
Damage Inc.
Oh, fuck, Damaging. Yeah, from Puppets. Yeah.
So we did that. It came out really well, and it was a trial run for Darcy too, like how to mix the album and right, let's do this and get it mastered, and then figure out what we need to change when we actually mix the album, like the other songs for the album. So that was the theory behind that at the time.
Yeah, we put that out, and
COVID kind of hammered that a bit.
Sorry, man.
It was
COVID,
right around COVID, wasn't it? It was 2021.
We planned on doing it.
Album was.
Yeah, we planned on doing a video for Damage Inc., but couldn't get Chris into the state, and so I mean, COVID kind of hammered what we had planned for that EP a little bit, but it was still pretty well received.
Oh, look,
I call it a test flight for the record because that's the way I treated it. I sort of mixed everything the same, and then we put the EP out. Then we got feedback, and we listened to. Well, we got our own feedback. We listened to it a shitload of times ourselves, and said, you know, we just want to change the sound of the fucking snare, or you know, the vocals are a bit too in your face or whatever, and made those adjustments for the full length. So it was a good idea. Like, at the time, I wasn't keen on adding the extra workload of doing an EP before an LP, but Micka wanted to do the acoustic thing. He actually recorded himself because, like, I don't want to fucking do it. So here's a mic, man. And he done a pretty good fucking job of
look, I'm
tracking acoustic guitars there. So
I'm glad you did, because it sounds like it's really cool going from a full length to having an EP and or acoustic EP to going to another really good full length.
Yeah, man.
And
listen
especially
back
the
on that and
meaning
go,
behind it as well, because like you said, Micka, and it's cool that other people have reached out to you and said, this song means a lot to me, and having a tick or the thumbs up from your own grandmother about your music is fucking huge, man. Like,
Yeah.
to have her, who obviously she means a hell of a lot to you, even though she wanted the acoustic version and didn't appreciate the fast in your face version, right? But that's between you and her. But for her to listen to that and go, that's what I wanted, that's huge. And
I
as
think,
a musician, that's that's massive.
I could tell too, like Darcy said at the time, like I knew he was burnt out, and I was like, I'll record this. Like, I knew we needed to do it, and I think probably a bit of a side stretch, but like I sort of run no quarter. Like I book the shows and deal with the tours and do all the promo and posters and merch
And the
and
media package that we got, and
yeah, all that shit, right? Because I love it. I love it. And
send him your press.
yeah, the press kit, all that shit, right? So, then the way I've done it for as long as I can remember now is like I'm not naive. None of the bands we play with anymore, or probably wherever, are going to be the next big thing, right? All the people that are our age that are still in music are the ones that love it. And we went through the hard yards and all the egotistic stuff with other bands. Like we were just always five guys from Singleton or wherever we were from, just wanted to play music and get drunk with our mates. So on now, like we just want to go play shows with good people, and where I can, if I can do something that means someone to something else, I'll do it. So recently I organised a gig way up Sunshine Coast, Darcy, because I know he's got a brother that lives up there. I've organised house shows in Melbourne for a guy that's just always wanted a punk show at his house. I did out there because other people wanted it for whatever reason. So we organised test pressings and sent them to Canada and whatnot, because there was actually a chick who was a massive punk vinyl collector, who reached out to us after Freedom and wanted the test vinyls. And I tried to get them back then, but they didn't exist, or they were gone, or I tried everything I could, and I promised her. And back then I didn't even know there was going to be a second album. Like I thought there was going to be, but I didn't know for sure. But if we ever do another album, I'll make sure I get you one. So again, just something that I could do that didn't really affect us too much, that just meant something to other people. So, and that's how I run our whole band. Like our band is basically just trying to create moments and memories for people, because you all know what music's like. Like a band could stop tomorrow. I don't know. Like I'm not taking the time for granted anymore. So I'm just trying to create a few memories along the way for me mates like Darcy and the people who have taken the time to tell us they like our band or whatever. So that's why we had to push for out there. And I know at the time Darcy was like, but I think, well, I know now he's like, yeah, that was a good idea. I'm glad we did that. So
Yeah, well, let me just jump in and say that, I just said that I wasn't keen to do it. I said, here's a mic, you go do it yourself. I did edit the thing and mix it and whatnot. To hear that shit about, the Nan listening with her eyes closed and crying and all the rest, like that's like what an experience that was. Holy shit! Like, why wasn't I keen to do that before? Like, it's just the time of life. We said earlier about I think we said it here, or we might have said it off air, but we said it earlier about, like, time catching up with everyone. That's when the band had the break. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. I've got a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I'm at that point where I'm like, what needs to have a break? Like, obviously work pays the bills. The band stuff's great. I really enjoy doing it, but I couldn't do it any more frequently than what we do. We play like every couple of months. Yeah, I could not commit to anything more than that, to be honest.
I don't think any of us could, because you did that when we were younger. That's when you get burnt out, I think.
But what a cool thing!
When you're younger,
What a cool thing to show your kids when they're a little bit older and they can appreciate it. What an awesome role model, especially, Micka, what you've just said there about, the meaning of that song. being able to teach your kids how to write meaningful songs. And the other thing is you've put 2 albums out now, right? So Fear and Loathing only came out this year. That doesn't mean that you have to get turned around in the next 2 years and write another album. Like that's huge. So like it's a credit to you boys as well for being as busy as you are, having Chris out of state and still being able to put out a fucking awesome couple of albums and an EP as well. Like it's not jerking your chains, but that's pretty big when you consider that a lot of bands that are doing this and releasing albums do so when they're in their early 20s. They haven't got kids, haven't got families, they're not tied down in those sorts of avenues. Well, I won't say tied down, but they haven't got commitments in other avenues at the same time as not only writing but recording, producing their own albums plus touring off the back of it. So, you know, you just need to hold your heads up high for that, and being able to pull that off and being able to release something that people overseas are listening to and getting in contact with you, that's huge. You know,
Yeah.
so
Thanks, man. Thank you.
It's a massive
Look,
achievement.
but look what family's done. I mean, that song now, it's been done in a couple of different versions, but look how much more meaning and how much more powerful that song is now that family is involved in it. So your grandmother now, that song's touched her in a mad way, and now your kids are going to listen to that song. You know, it's a connection. And no, it's beautiful. And another good sign of a great song is being able to play it in lots of different styles and genres and have it still mean something. And have you ever heard Take On Me by Aha?
Yeah.
They did an acoustic version of that changed the way I looked at the song, and I was like, that's a fucking beautiful song. You know, like and they used to do it in the 90s with Nirvana Unplugged, which I think is a fantastic album. Like, and then
Is
even
that the
with
same
Garage
song
Inc.
that Really Big Fish covered?
Yeah.
Is it? There you go.
But
I
you
only
know what
knew
I
that
mean?
because of that cover.
Garage Inc. helped Metallica with Jason Newsted move on to their next album, right? And it's kind of what you might have been what you did with Darcy, right? It kind of moved on. It kind of changed the. Do you think it gave you the avenue to kind of play around a little bit before he's got to work?
Well, the whole thing was the band's back. You know, it's there was the period, like speaking about kids and whatnot, like the period where everyone sort of like said, "Oh, I can't do this anymore." Was I wasn't there, but at that point of their lives, you know. Yeah, Micka, feel free to jump in, man.
Yeah, I think that's we were sort of heading towards it earlier. It was definitely, especially for me and Chris, who'd been there since, well, Chris the beginning, me Nelly the beginning, definitely refreshing. Like I still miss Matt and Dan in Paris at times, like just for memory's sake, but it was definitely a refresher that was needed for me and Chris to be able to keep wanting to do it and put the time and effort in. And yeah, it was cool just playing with new people and learning different ways of doing things, and having, I think too, Matt and Dan, like Matt's ability is constructing a song, like he's brilliant at it, like put chords here, do this there. But he'd sort of gotten to the point, like Darcy said, where he was earlier, where he used to listen to Pennywise songs and be able to play them all. Like Matt got to that point, but Matt didn't have the time. Matt's always had pretty high up job roles. He didn't have the time invest to becoming that next level guitarist where our music was heading. And that's no not looking down on Matt at all. It's just like our music was always sort of growing and growing, and I'd add more tappy riffs and we'd get to that point. But I don't know if we would have got to where we were without that natural attrition of Darcy and Paul coming in.
Yep.
So it was refreshing in that, to be able to have these visions in your mind of, imagine having a CD where had solos on it that sound like strung out. Like, fuck, that's a crazy dream. Like, and then being able to actually do that. was very cool. So
It's cool that you've like the influences that you've picked up over the years and all of your inputs show almost as a tribute throughout these albums, and it's really fucking cool. But
You know what's cool, dude? Let me just jump in and say one fucking thing.
what is really cool is just those couple of grey streaks in your fucking beard. Just-
You know what's really cool, dude?
Yeah.
Honestly, we opened for Strung Out one time in Sydney at Narrabeen RSL.
Fuck! Did you open for
Fucking
Strung Out?
jealous, bro.
Let me just.
That's why he's bringing out the grey.
Yeah. This is
Fucking
this is Mick-
roast him. He's fucking.
This is Micka's favorite band of all time. Like if he had to whack it off to one band and like just listen to that band and whack off, that'd be the fucking band. Anyway,
Justified. 100% justified too.
yeah. So anyway, we got the call. We got the gig. Micka called everyone and he's like in tears saying, we're opening for Strung Out, cunts. Like we're all like, nah, fuck off. Don't lie to me, man. Like, and anyway, so Micka, like as he always does, he goes to like 4 of the fucking gigs on the Strung Out Australia tour, like whatever he can drive to, he goes to, and it was like cluing them up right from the start. By the way, fellas, we're playing in Sydney with you guys, and then we got to Sydney and they're like, are you ready to fucking sound check with us? So Micka gets on the drum kit and plays, what's the song, Micka?
Virginia Madison.
Oh,
He plays that song with them and they're like, fuck yeah, I love that metal shit you put in there, blah, blah, blah. And then they do they play their set and they fucking like, that's the best time I've ever seen Strung Out play. And they get to the encore and they go like, where the fuck's Micka Martin? He's like, dang, he was
couldn't
standing
make it
next-
up. Couldn't make it up the stairs due to the erection, fucking keeping him from walking.
No. He was standing next to me. He's like fucking running, and then he gets to the stage. And he's like, just chill as fuck. But he gets on stage and he plays a fucking song with his favorite band of all time.
That's awesome, dude.
What a fucking experience that is.
Priceless shit, mate. No, you know how fucking a fraction of people will ever get to do anything like that, man. So like that's unreal.
That was literally a dream come true. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Only question is, did they play Mind of My Own?
Yep. No, not that night. They didn't.
Oh, they can get fucked then.
They did their Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues album that night.
Yeah,
They're on a full hour. Yeah.
no, hands down, that is going to be of all time my favourite song of Strung Out. But I love them.
Seen them do that a fair few times. It's always a good song live.
Yeah, I've got a video clip. I think it was from, I think it's 1997, playing in America where they played that, and it's just I fucking love it.
I've seen him do that album Twisted by Design live as well.
Great
that whole
album too. Yeah. Now,
Yeah, so that was
talking about great albums, and I'll just bring up, I was going to lead in with this, but Micka's promotion fucking skills, and this is what I thought that acoustic album was. He's got the ability to go to shows and promote his own band playing and supporting Strung Out, but the timing for the acoustic EP coming out, I thought was almost spot on. So 2021 that came out, correct? 2022, Fear and Loathing on the Pacific Highway comes out. So before tonight, I thought, oh yeah, that's just like giving people a bit of a teaser leading into the album coming out, which is cool that it has happened the way that it did, not knowing when the album would come out. But the next release that you guys had was Fear and Loathing on the Pacific Highway. Released this year, 2022. Probably one of my favorites for this year. favorite albums for this year's release. Fucking cool.
Can we put the album artwork up right now on the screen when we're doing it?
Say it again.
Obviously,
Say it
it's
again.
post production.
Yeah.
Post production.
They put it up.
Put that album artwork up. That's
Now?
fucking beautiful.
It's like as many times as you say now. That's what I'll be looking for when I'm editing. So it'll fucking go up like 4 times.
But with that,
But yeah,
what's with the Hunter S. Thompson? Because he's driving you right in that custom convertible van.
Yeah.
Where did that come in? Where did the idea for that?
Is it? Are you pointing at me?
I am.
You know
On
what?
my
Yeah.
screen.
You're here for me.
Buck, you two are pointing. You two are
Are
pointing
you a
like my
Gonzo
fucking
journalist
eyes
fan,
are
are you?
at the moment.
Yeah, bro. So, Fear and Loathing, like I said earlier, I'm a Avenged Sevenfold fan. They've done that backcountry film clip, which is based on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But no, we're sort of like we're at sort of not at each other, but we were sort of like disagreeing a bit on what the album's going to be called and what it's going to be based on. I wanted it to be based on the first track on the record, which is called Revolution. Well, fuck, what's it called?
I'll
Micka?
have one
So I'll
ticket
have
to the
one ticket
revolution.
to the revolution. Now pass me my break.
That's the fucking one there.
Don't
I've
even know
always
your own
called it
fucking songs, mate.
Yeah,
We just
sorry.
call it Rev. We just call it Rev.
Yeah.
I like long song names. I think they're cool.
Yeah, but it was always for me. I was like, that's what I want the album to be called, and Mick was like, I understand it would be fitting, but I don't want it to be a political album. I want it to be a fun album. I want it to be more about what we're about, and I said, yeah, fair enough. And then I ended up saying something along the lines of like, I think for me, like, this is a really good album to get in the car and fucking go for a drive and listen to, and we end up saying that, okay, well, let's talk about the drives that we always do, because our singer lives in Brisbane, as we said before, so we're always driving up and down that Pacific Highway, and when we go for a Queensland tour, we're like, we just have this range of emotions. Like we're like stoked and we're happy and we're excited, and on the way there and then on the way back, we've had fucking 3 nights on the piss and the coke, and we were like driving back and we're just like depressed and fucking, when the fuck can I get home? And so
Touring is a
yeah,
fucking
Aussie band
crazy
tradition,
cycle,
right?
isn't it?
Like with Highway to Hell and AC/DC. It's kind of like
it's
that
awesome.
vibe.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah, but I end up saying, look, let's call it Fear and Loathing on the Pacific Highway as a joke, and I sent a message to the group, and Micka said that's fucking great. Like, and the other guys were like not keen because they hadn't really seen the movie, but I think they went and watched the movie and said, fuck yeah, let's call that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Obvious.
When you said that it was the type of album to drive, like to listen to while you're driving, that's exactly when I've listened to it every time. Because when I've been driving to work and it's, fucking 11 o'clock at night, I'm in the car and I'm driving, and it fucking revs me up, but it's cool. It's something you can relate to the whole way through. And even while I'm, on track on the train and stuff, bust out the Bluetooth speaker, and I've shown it to a few people that I've been working with, and even they haven't been into like punk or alternative music, but they've really enjoyed it. I don't know whether they're bullshit to me, because I can tick them off and say,
it's
yeah, you've
interesting you
passed this
said
or not. But
the two ways you kind of described it. It's one kind of, you didn't want to be too political, and then one way you didn't want it to be. One way you described it's like an album on the road. But what I've actually written it down here. What I felt the album was a good mix of like nostalgia, like it feels like band on the road stories, old school kind of days. The way, but also the social present day, like social commentary. the likes of hashtag cry for attention and shout out, I felt were, you know, like this, it's a good mix of kind of old band on the road, that type of shit, and personal stories, I guess, and relationships. But then also there is still social commentary. There is quite political in some ways. But do you mean like you didn't just want to name the album like Revolution, like you didn't want to be looked at that way?
No, for me, I tried, especially when writing the songs, picking themes. I didn't want it to just be about like war and conspiracy and all that sort of stuff. I just felt, especially seeing some of the titles of other albums that were coming out at the time from bands overseas and whatnot, I felt like the market for that stuff was just getting oversaturated. I just thought, we called our album Revolution, and at the time too, I come up with a bit of a cover idea based on that. Like, in hindsight, like if we'd have just done Revolution and had that cover theme, like it would have just been like all the rest of them.
Yeah,
I didn't want that. And then for a while, I wanted to cover based around the Witches song. I thought we could have done a real Witches theme, but when Darcy come up with the Fear and Loathing, I was like, oh, that's it. That's amazing. I think it just captures the album theme a lot better. Like, it's just songs about shit we can actually relate to, or people can actually relate to. And even, like you said, political or social stuff that is relevant, but it's just not your standard political 12 songs of I hate the government and you know, that sort of stuff. Like the songs we've sort of done that are more meaning are the ones like Cry for Attention about social media, and you know, Children of the Faith about churches and manipulation, and you know, priests doing what they do to kids, and you know, the other one, what's the Empty Apologies about domestic violence, like
but even Salesman shout out.
Yeah.
And you know, I like that Witch song you did for You a Witch and Witches Shall Burn, man. I dig the intro to that, the way you kind of had it was outside and you could hear the kind of the flames and the embers burning. I really like that track.
Yeah,
it was an awesome track.
And I think it's really well
Getting praise from David Giles about music is a fucking big tick there, because the man only listens to hip hop and loves that.
I like hip hop. I just stopped listening to. I stopped
to new music.
I stopped listening to I stopped accepting new music into my life, and I don't know how it happened, but it was like I now have a job where I can't listen to my headphones anymore, you know, and I just lost that time in my life where I can accept new music in. So now when I'm working out or when I'm doing it, and it's all the bands I've always liked in music, so it's hard for me to take another album in. It's very hard for me, and for this, I listened to this album, man, and I really liked a lot of the tracks, and I have to admit. And yeah, man, there's some good shit. There's some, and Vinno's right. It's so hard. I'm like a fucking wall at the moment. With my age, metal just became metal to me, and I was like, fuck metal now. Fuck punk. Hip hop to me, because at least lyrics can make me think. Kind of still stuck around a bit, but even that, I've closed my doors to that too, and it's just about getting old. But I have to say, this album, it is kind of, it might convince me to go down a rabbit hole of melodic punk. You know what I mean? Like, I dig it. Like, I really do dig it.
You've saved him from being that cynical old Irishman sitting at the pub with a Guinness in front of him. Just
haven't made a good album since Rust in Peace. I'm that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm like, oh, Pantera's back. Maybe I can listen to some new shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Charlie Benante and Zach Boyle. Let's do it. Nah, but yeah. Sorry, man. What were you saying?
I'm guilty of that too. Like, I don't listen to as much new music as I should. I just fall into the rut of, I drive to work, me iPod, because I actually don't have a Spotify. My missus does, but I prefer to just put all my shit on my iPod. It just sits in my car and runs through random, or I'll put an album on it. 90% of the time I'm listening to, you know, Lagwagon Trashed or Twisted Body and Strung Out. Like, I don't listen to enough new music as I should, but every now and then I make myself, especially now the albums of the year list come out, I find it's a good time to go, right, I need to check out these albums and bands and whatnot. And a lot of local stuff, bands we're playing with, I always make sure I check out their music and stuff and promote that. But as far as bigger bands, new stuff, I don't listen to as much as I should.
It comes down to what we were talking about at the start, though, where there's not a lot of newer upcoming or skate punk bands or
Yeah.
punk bands
No,
like that.
there's-
So it's hard to find something that if you remember back when you were a teenager or when you were first starting out No Quarter and you would hear a band that would catch your attention straight away, right? I still remember the first time Darcy and Ollie showed me Propaganda. And I think the first song he showed me was Motor League. And
Nice.
yeah,
Oh.
so
Nice introduction song.
yeah, but this is a perfect example. So I hadn't really heard them before. I'd listened to same as you, Mick, shitloads of Strung Out, Pennywise. I was listening to No Fun at All, No Use for a Name, a lot of older AFI. So before they, I suppose before they got to the more melodic side, but it was more the hardcore side.
Black Sails and all that sort of
Black
stuff.
Sails, but even the album prior to that, and In My Slightly Drunken State, I can't remember, but it was. I'm gonna fucking look at it now because it's annoying me. It's my favourite album of theirs. Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes.
Graveyard on the front, yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, fuck, what is that? That is a fucking good record.
Man, it's so that was my rabbit hole into hardcore, because a lot of that stuff is early hardcore. All Hallows
You
Eve
have
EP.
time to listen to it, right?
Yeah, so Shut Your Mouth.
When you don't have kids and a family, you can like listen to an album and sit in your room. You know what I mean? And you can hear an album from start to finish,
Yeah.
and you can see how the artist wants it. It's like a piece of art in itself. But now I just don't have the time. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think to add to that too is like, you used to get the album, you'd buy it, and you'd fucking listen to it in your room, and you'd read all the lyrics and all their thank yous and all the other bands.
As they were singing it. He'd like read the lyrics as they were singing it. Like,
Now everything's Spotify and playlists, so you don't. People these days, especially like people younger than us, which is nearly fucking everybody, but like they don't listen to albums from start to finish.
No, they listen
Because
to
of
a
that,
song.
like, do you remember how big, like, Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish?
Oh, you've said
Linkin
the magic
Park,
words now. Yeah,
Island
look at him.
Theory,
album.
Significant Other, fucking
the System
man.
of a Down album. System of a Down album.
Toxicity had a sound. The whole album had a vibe, and you could listen to that. You know, like it was very important. Like Pantera, every band, Metallica, each album had a color to it almost.
Even like Blink-182's Enema of the State, like everyone had that fucking CD, and you went to house parties, and all you listened to all night was you listen to System of a Down album until someone went and put on the Limp Bizkit album or whatever. Albums were massive, and it was in everyone's car. You'd drive around town drinking, and those albums would be on it. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. An album doesn't get that big like they used to. Like,
Well, you look at house parties and stuff. It's and this is where I know what you're saying with the likes of Spotify, right? If someone plugs their phone in, they go to a playlist, and it's a mix, and it's always been a mix. And I suppose that did start when we were younger, and everyone would rock up with their mix CD, and you would absolutely
Azad,
shit.
Pirate Bay, and
You would shit on that person if it was a shit like mix CD, especially if you're in their car. But that's where Spotify falls short of the mark, in my opinion, because it is too easy nowadays to access bulk music. And if you hear a certain song of somebody, you have to go and scroll down to find the discography and listen to that whole album, because it'll put through the top picks, and that's where it falls short. And it takes away, like exactly what you were saying, Micka, it takes away from having to sit there and listen to that whole album. And that's such a shame, because the hit on any album, and I'm talking if you're looking at pop music,
it's never the first song.
It's never the first song, and it's never the best song on the album either, because there's another there's several hidden gems throughout that album that are so much better than the hit. But the whole album as like when you listen to it, has impact. And listening to that from start to finish, it almost tells a story. And in a lot of ways it does. So
when you said before about the intro to Witches, like we did it with Freedom too. We deliberately picked where the songs would go to help with ebb and flow. So Witches is the halfway point of the album. It's the first track on side B on a vinyl. So you flip it, and that intro is like another intro to the second half of the album. But it's also right after Blinding Light, which is like a mid-tempo song that winds down. So then Witches helps you come back out. And I just don't think some people appreciate stuff like that anymore because they never grew up in their room listening to albums from start to finish. It's lost.
Well, even the first track on this album, which is I know he's called it Rev or Revolution, but it's I'll have one ticket to Revolution. They'll pass me the brick. You know what? And no, I writ about this was I like that the first track of the album sets it up like you're tuning in, or to a sound or to a radio station, and now you've found it, and here's the back. You know what I mean? Like it's almost immediately setting you up to be like, oh yeah, what's this? Oh yeah, and you've gotten in, and now you're tuned into No Quarter, and then the album starts. And even Blinding Light Through Tired Eyes, I have very different vibes from the start. The speed has been reeled back with more of an epic kind of ballad feel to it. So it's kind of like you've ended that first half, and then For You Are a Witch and Witches Shall Burn kind of kicks off that second half, right?
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're on. Yeah.
That's a good way. That's a good way of putting all this. Yeah, man.
I love it. Honestly, it's a really fucking good album. Like it really fucking is. And I've got me top 5 there was Cry for Attention, Salesman, Shout Out, For a Witch, For You Are a Witch and Witches Shall Burn, and then Long Distance. But for everyone, like all these songs are fucking wicked, and I'm telling you, everyone, listen to it from start to finish. But yeah, with Long Distance, obviously, I love the little pinch harmonics that were in there and the little solo. Empty Apologies. What was the story behind that one, lads?
So that's a song. So Darcy wrote all the music to that song.
Okay.
And the way it sounded, like how aggressive it was, and I wanted to write a song about domestic violence. So I just picked a topic and said, I think this is something we can sort of work with. Everyone knows someone who's been touched by it. It's kind of like when we did the cancer one as well, like just a topic that everyone could relate to. And I just felt that fitted the style of the song. And actually Chris wrote the melody for the vocals and all the vocals, like the words, all by himself in Queensland with that one. Which, usually Chris does a lot of work. Hey?
We were just like, we got the email, it was like, here's what we're coming up with, and we're like, fuck yeah.
He nailed it, because usually he'll write a melody and then he'll change it, and then we need to move words around, and that was one song where he just went bang, and I was like, fuck, and he said, you know, it was easy to relate to the topic matter, the music was well written, the song flows well, so yeah, pretty happy with that one. We've actually been opening our set with that. I think we've majority of the moment, so yeah.
And I don't want to skip by one either, because that seems to have a lot of love on your Spotify for it, and it kind of starts off with that phone call. Let us know a little bit about One by One, because I dig this song as well. Very catchy, very fun.
Yeah, that's another me one. I wrote that one about being a drunken teenager at East Maitland Bowling Club. And how, like, growing up back then, everyone went to East Maitland Bowling Club every Friday.
Pumpkin pickers, mate.
Yeah, you would go there, and you didn't even have to have your mates there. You would just go there, and then you knew everyone in the little sports bar, right? Then as time went on, people started leaving, and even myself, I didn't go there. Yeah, one by one, they left. And then for years, I didn't go back there, and then we started getting groups together again, and again, like, your group went from 30 to 20 to 10, and I was trying to organise, like, I don't know, probably 3 times a year, like all our group mates to go and catch up and tell us about your life and hang out again, and just one by one, again, it happened. Like, everyone got smaller and smaller, and eventually it was just me and like 3 mates and turn up there and watch a couple of games of footy. And at first I was really angry about it, I remember talking to Chris about it, and I actually wanted to call the song originally, "Most of My Friends Are Shit Cunts." I was just angry, like that all you people leaving me. But as I got older and put my own life and whatever else, like I got very much less. I'm not angry about it at all now. I just still wanted to write about that time in my life and how people were leaving and all the memories we had, and what it made us who we are today. But yeah, that's how that song came about. And that phone call is me down the phone to Darcy. Like, we recorded me actually talking on the phone.
Yeah, from the intro. Yeah.
Yeah, saying like, come and hang out, because no one wanted to hang out with me anymore. So
It's like, hey, it's Micka. You want to come out to play? It kind of reminded me of like when you're a kid back in the day before phones even. It was like, hey, can this person come out? And you just have to wait for the answer.
So I actually, I've actually got one of my friends who, when she heard that song and the lyrics in a group chat of mine, she was messaging me privately, and she was like, I remember this time of our life because I was one of the ones that left. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, don't worry about it. She's like, no. And it's like, she told me all the stuff that she had going on and why she vanished for a long time. And I was like, that's a whole different perspective that I never.
It's a really cool expression of maturity there, because as you just touched on before, like at the time you're angry about it because you don't understand. But the older you get, the more you realize that people have got things happening outside, and the anger goes and your perception of that changes. So the fact that she's called you and filled you in, and you get a different perspective on it. So
she loves
you
it.
might not have even known that until the song came.
That's right.
So that's another thing, isn't it? That the art has kind of
provokes thought.
Changed reality in a way.
She loves it. She loves the song. Like, she sent me a Spotify thing showing it was one of the top ones, and she sends me pictures of it when it comes on a playlist. Like, she goes, I love this song and how you created it and what it makes me think about. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now, have you got a video clip for this album? I think Darcy was saying you've got 2 video clips. Which song do you have a video for? I haven't seen it yet.
We got Cry for Attention. What was the one that we did
Wait, hang on. Which is the one you did with Micka in a bikini, in the pink bikini?
That's cool.
Yeah. So we did that, and then a friend of ours from Singleton, who now lives in Tasmania, Cameron, he put together a film clip with heaps of footage from around Tasmania, from like diving and animals and stuff, and he did that to long distance, and that come up pretty good as well, actually.
So sorry, which one was it that you did the video clip? It was filmed in Greta itself, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I recognise.
Greta Brankston Colts.
Right. So
I won't bring it up again, everybody.
Before we go for another quick break,
major premiere in the house tonight. But here,
I was trying to interject. I was trying to cut him off.
I don't want to skip the cry to attention yet, but I will. But I love the idea that it's a social media addiction and the validation people crave from it. And I love that you sampled like a notification bell in the song. Because when I heard that, I kind of had that anxious feeling of like, what was that,
Yeah, you check your phone.
And again, a lovely little guitar solo at the end of that song too.
Anyway, so
Cry for Attention has a nice
you're all
one.
going to listen to it right now because my back teeth are floating and I do need to have another quick pee break. But
I need to piss.
in the interim, you guys are going to get another exclusive view at the boys' video clips and the lovely scenery around Greta, just down the road from Micka's house. So
I'll rep the Greta Gorillas.
So here is Cry for Attention.
You'll find out what's on here to save you as you spiral and free fall to a world with no control. Your tiny screen is full of lies, an actress in your made-up life, painted followers and lies. Just like a heroin hit, inject a new self-effect. Your self-esteem climbs with your beauty.
welcome back again, guys. Hope you enjoyed the second video clip. Once again, and I'm going to say it a few times throughout this episode, get on, support the boys. Spotify, Apple Music. I'm not sure what that is now. I'm on Spotify, but get on if you want to get in contact with them. They're on Facebook, Instagram. If you want to get in contact with the boys individually, I'm not going to suggest that, but you know, if you're that way inclined. One thing I will mention again is it's getting very, very close to Christmas. So just lock your fucking doors, all right? Because Paulie, aka Merv, is a deviant and he will break into your fucking house, set some traps. Here is another picture of him in case you missed it. So, cry for attention. That one was that video clip, but we're gonna get back into Fear and Loathing on the Pacific Highway, the boys' recent release. And I'm not going to say their last release because, despite what you've heard from the boys already, it's only been released this year, and I'm sure that there's going to be plenty more shows, and we'll get into those upcoming shows and those sorts of things later on.
This is a brand new banger of an album. Brand new, 2022. Track 1. I'll have one ticket to the revolution. Now pass me my brick. Now I talked about this earlier about how the intro of it is kind of like you're tuning the static. You're tuning into a sound, and then you're there and you're listening to No Quarter. Boys, what's that song about?
All right, that song about a video game I was playing while we were doing all the demos called Homefront: The Revolution. That's all it's about. It's literally about that whole video game because I thought it was fucking cool, and it wasn't reviewed very well. I loved it, and Darcy and that'd be sitting on the back working out and tracking guitar demos, and when I was over here not helping, I would just be playing Homefront: The Revolution, and I thought it would make a cool idea for a song with the way I had the music to the song first, sort of the way the intro built. I thought that'd suit, and it did. And then Darcy made all that intro he made. I just sort of said, "Oh, what about this sort of stuff?" And he went away and come up with his ideas and put all that stuff in, and it sort of tuned in and like listening for a rebel radio, like guerrilla warfare type stuff. Like, so that's where it come from. And there's a verse riff that didn't make the final album. Darcy wrote to go over the chords, which I think is fucking sick, and I'm so bummed it never made the final cut. But the way that album builds into the first verse and then into the chorus and then the outro, like, it's a really cool song to have open the album. I think we always knew that was going to open the album, that song, like from day one.
It didn't make the riff that you're speaking about there, Micka. It didn't make the record just because it wasn't recorded well. Like, I must have been too pissed when I recorded that one.
Naturally,
I didn't have a better take. I'm like, normally I have a little back catalogue of shit that I can just delve into and get a better version of, but I just did not have it on that one. So we were just pressed for time. It was like I just said, fuck it. Like, we've got an ascending bass rhythm there. Like, I don't need to have that riff there. Yeah, it's a cool.
There's enough there that you don't miss it. But after hearing it there, I was bummed about it. So,
well, given the fact never known about it, just listen to it. It doesn't sound like there's anything missing it. You know, to you guys, you're like, oh, there's a little bit that could be in there.
But given the fact that you've written a song,
the whole radio thing was sorry, Vinno.
No, go for it. Go for it.
The whole radio thing was Micka, like, he was a Kickstarter for this song, and he said he had some thoughts about having some Fidel Castro thing on the radio and whatnot, and that stuff never made it onto the song, but definitely the concept did. And I had the baby monitor, which was looking after my 1-year-old, who was probably a newborn at the time, and I just put me mic in front of it got a bit of feedback, bit of buzzing, and went with that, and then just Googled some shit, and I got a bit sci-fi with it, which was I really enjoyed doing, and just like had a night on the old Scotch and Cokes, and
Yeah,
just fucked around and just
It
like,
sounds. It's a
what's
great
this
way to
plug-in?
start the album.
I'm gonna just like turn this plug-in on and just fuck with it and see what it does, and that was the result of that intro, and I love that intro. Like it's like
It is good.
the cool
It
thing about
sets you up to be like, all right, where am I going here? Where am I going? And then it settles, and that's what like, you found your place. I think it's an awesome way to do it.
I'm going to put
Now,
in a
what's Fidel
request right
Castro's
now.
speech
Just
where you
before-
keep an L of it.
Just before you get too much into it, I want to
yeah.
put a request in right now, right? Given the fact that Micka said that it was based off a game, I want a song either off the Stick of Truth or the Fractured Butthole right now. Okay, so you're going to do a special EP, and it's going to be, actually do both songs. It's going to be about both South Park games. Done. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
You've heard it here first.
I want a
Continue on.
Call of Duty Vanguard song.
Yeah, I'm weird like that. I just write songs about random shit sometimes, like Heather and everything else. But yeah,
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that because I want to talk to you about that one down the line.
Fidel
The Heather
Castro
Brook.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we left off. Like I started off, I wanted a speech, like because in the end of the game, when you finish the game I played, the dude gives this big speech. I was like, we want a speech, and sort of looked at putting that in there, and then I looked at some real life stuff, and it was just this Castro speech that he was doing that fit well with all the gaps. The way he spoke sounded real, like he was talking over a radio, but Paul said, "Oh, we've got these issues with it," and that's when we kind of scrapped the speech, and then we got Chris. So Chris actually speaks over it, like where he says the bit about what's he say? If we might lose, but if we don't fight, we've already lost. Like that was a picture of graffiti that I saw on the internet. I said, Chris, I want you to say this like you're giving a speech to people that are about to go to war. Like, so we built it.
It's a call to arms, yeah.
Yeah, and we just left all the real life stuff out of it because we didn't want it to be related to something that the song actually had nothing to do with. So, which I'm glad we did because the stuff Darcy built is 1,000 times better anyway. So, yeah, that was that song.
That was my favorite moment of doing the whole record, was doing that. The intro to Witches was pretty cool too. Like just
subtle,
just drunk. I was just drunk as fucking shit, and just like Googling stuff and like copy pasting it.
You're a man of my own heart. You really are.
Don't tell them how the sausage is made. It's fucking good sausage. It's fucking good sausage, man.
I'm ready to
Barnett's
do
meat.
sausage, boys.
Yeah.
Barnett's butchery. Fuck.
Barnett's meat. Now look, track number 2 we already kind of talked about a bit, One by One, which is obviously Micka was talking about One by One and those friend gatherings and all, and Long Distance, and we kind of talked about that as well, right? But have we got anything else to add to any of those songs you think that we haven't brought up?
Yeah, probably
One by One.
The only thing that I'm going to add in is go and fucking listen to them, because if you haven't listened to this already, go and have a listen to them and give your feedback to the boys. If you really enjoy these songs, they would really appreciate hearing from it, and as much as we would. But the inside out of it, you're going to hear first from Micka. Here we go.
Yeah, so One by One used to be, so that little phone call that's the intro used to be the name of the song. Because we had so many long titles, other boys downvoted me and we had to just turn it into One by One because they're like, you got too many. So it used to be called, hey Micka, hello beer, is that you? It's me, Micka. You want to hang out? That was after I changed it from all my friends are shit cunts. So eventually it just become One by One. That's probably about the only fact left I got about that song. Like, but Long Distance was that was another Chris one, wasn't it, Darcy? Paul wrote all the music.
Yeah, lyric wise was
I dig that track. Yeah.
Paul said, "Here's some music, write some lyrics," and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
going
the
off to raid
solo.
raid houses. Write some lyrics to this.
It's got
Yeah.
a fucking nice solo at the end of that shit. And I know
It's-
you actually said it was one of your least kind of the ones you're attached to, songs you're attached to on the album, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like I'm not saying it's a bad song by any means. Like it's a
It's
good
a
song.
fucking good song, yeah.
I just think out of the whole album as a whole, I don't know if it's just because it's doesn't have hills and valleys the rest of the songs do. It's very consistent all the way through. But the solo in it's excellent. It's Paul's favorite solo. Like he's super proud of that.
So good. Yeah.
He wrote all the verse music and stuff in the intro, and I added the chorus
pinchy?
music.
A little
Yeah,
pinchy at the end. Oh,
yeah.
man.
And then Darcy helped with some bits as well, and building the song. Like as I said, when we write the songs, we all kind of have a go at it. And then Chris actually wrote all the lyrics and the melody to that in Queensland when he couldn't get across the border, and he basically wrote it about not being able to, like, long distance, like having these mates that he couldn't get to. And that's why on that song he does his own backup vocals, because we were like, that'd be kind of cool if the song's about a long distance relationship with your mates and not being able to hang out, but and you're that alone that you've got to do your own backup vocals and stuff.
Yeah, that is deep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even my fucking backup vocals are just me because they're so far. Yeah.
Yeah, so we thought that'd be cool to do, and we did, and like it's the fucking song goes gangbusters on Spotify. Like I see our Spotify stuff, and I think the Skate Punkers website, which is pretty big for our genre, they got a playlist, and they chose that song to be on it, and it's one of our most played because of that. And I don't know, I don't know why
It's
for
like-
me. Like,
One of the cool things.
no, I've got to have a song on there that I think
You never know. You
Yeah,
never
yeah.
know. Black Sabbath's Paranoid was they only put that song in for filler. And now it's their number one song.
The
They had to
biggest
name
song.
the album off it. It was the single off the album. And it was literally just put in there so they could fill an LP.
Yeah.
So you never know, right, which song's gonna fucking
all the other
yeah,
boys love
mean
it. Chris loves it. Darcy loves it. I know they all
I
like
dig.
But
I
it's
do dig.
cool and I suppose a lot of people won't see the inside of a lot of these songs and the thought process and those cool concepts, like you were saying about the backup vocals, right? There's meaning behind that and having that effect in there. Once people hear that, they pay attention to it, and it means a little bit more to them. But the fact that you guys, when you're sitting down and writing and recording and producing these songs, you've got that forethought and think about things outside of the square to get that extra element to it. Just shows, I think, why you have been so successful with this album on Spotify. And once they come on board, I think you were saying before, there was another platform that hasn't.
Deezer.
Right, pull your fucking
Deezer.
shit together, cunts. Right,
Um,
not you boys, those cunts.
Yeah.
Right, fucking get the songs on there or get the fuck out. All right. So
Classic Vin.
yeah. So but the fact that you guys have put that extra thought in, it adds extra elements to the album, and it becomes more than just an album, right? You're presenting a piece of art essentially, and that's that stands you apart from people that are just producing or putting out an album with just songs on it. You've got those few extra, and I'll say it again, elements to it.
I think you get to that point. Well, I can't speak for the others, but you're right. You start looking at it's not just a song; it's as a whole. Like I remember, I read an article once about Metallica's Master of Puppets album, and it goes into like that whole deep songwriting thing. Like the thing that should not be the sound of that song feels like a monster creeping up from beneath, and Battery is fast and energetic like a battery, and like all that sort of shit. Like it goes into extra meaning of each song, and I guess not that I don't know if we're good songwriters or not. That's not up to me to decide. But
Well, I think you are, and I think it shows in freedom, right? In abandoned ship, when even the sound effects that you have. And sorry to cut you off there, bro, but just to answer your question there, I think you are good songwriters to the point where it's not just the song that you're writing, but it's the effects that you're putting in the production stage. So even that underwater element of the guitar tones that are put in through Abandoned Ship builds that scenario and that scene and that feeling, so that by the time that song actually kicks in, it's not only in your face, but you've already got that feeling of being underwater. And that starts to show with this newer album, and you've just built on that and perfected it almost.
Yeah, well, I think we are a bit more conscious of it. Like with Empty Apologies, a song about
Track 4,
domestic-
everybody. Yeah.
domestic violence. Like that verse riff is real frantic,
Yes.
and the lyrics are real frantic, and it's like someone's getting chased through a house in a domestic violence situation. Like just little things like that where we tried to make a bit more. I think we actually pulled it off this time, where maybe previously we didn't. I don't know.
You've
So, like
perfected
Heather,
it. Yeah, you've got that thought when you write a song and you know what it's about, or you write the music, and you might see this in yourselves, that you listen to a piece of music and you go, right, this song is going to be about this, or a topic, and you go, yeah, that piece of music fits that because of these elements. And like you just said, Empty Apologies with that frantic chorus section fits that perfectly, so that people can relate to it, right? So people
It's an emotion.
yeah, so people are drawn in by the lyrics, and then it's the feeling of the music behind that really nails them to that song, so they can relate to it. And that's what I was just saying about you guys being good songwriters, because you're not just writing music, you're writing music that relates or can be related to people. And you said it before yourself, Micka, when you were talking about why you were still doing the band, in the sense that there's not a great scene for it, but you want to keep writing music and doing music for people so that they can enjoy it. This is part of it. And it comes down to your skill and technical ability as musicians, as producers, to be able to pull that off, to draw people in. And I think that comes down to one of the reasons why this album is so successful on Spotify, and why it will continue to be successful, is because people will listen to these songs and they will relate and they will appreciate the expertise and the musicianship that goes into it, but even the down-to-earth personalities that come into it as well. So
thanks, bro.
it's a credit to you guys once again.
And I like that analogy with Master of Puppets to Empty Apologies again, because with the franticness of being in a domestic violence situation where it's in the moment, it's frantic. And then with Puppets, where even the title track, Master of Puppets, the whole song is about, you're addicted to drugs. So there's that fast bit of, and then there's the moment of ecstasy in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
Do. And it's like, oh my God, this is perfect. This is beautiful.
All I know
But then
that
slowly the deep darkness comes in. It's like, dun, 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 and it's like, now you're back in my world. And I love that.
That's cool.
It's beautiful. But
Is it known
moving
as the
in
second
to-
solo, that part, that do, or is it the third?
No, that's the first solo. The second solo is fast.
That's right.
First solo
yeah.
starts off.
I just remember being at school. I remember at school,
Yeah.
people were like, that was a bragging right, whether you could play which solo like the fucking best.
Yeah, I can play the first solo of Master of Puppets, but I've never even tried to play the second solo of Master of Puppets. And whether it's more, but because actually James Hetfield
Darcy
plays
can
the
play
first
behind
part
his head. He's going to
on
do it
the
right
record.
now.
James Hetfield,
yeah.
beautiful soloist. But moving into track 5, then Children of the Faith. Oh no, Darcy, sorry, moving back.
I can't even remember what I was talking about.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So to talk about lyrics and whatnot, Chris wrote the lyrics to Shout Out, the last track on the record, and it's about like Micka. It's cool if I talk about this, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about his wife who had breast cancer and nearly killed her and whatnot, and they had to battle through cancer, and all I said was I wrote all the music and just said, Chris, can you write some words to this? All I envisage it is someone overcomes a struggle of some sort, and he just wrote that about his personal situation. It's like, holy shit, like, you know, I really wasn't angling for you to do that, but that's really cool that you decided to use my music to make this personal about yourself. And that's my favorite song on the new record because of that reason, really. Like, not because I wrote the music, like,
Did
I don't
you
give a fuck about
did you tell him what you were aiming for when you?
that, but because Chris was that he would write that about himself.
Did you tell him what you were aiming for when you sent him that music, or did he just pick up on
It was,
what?
here's the music, and I feel it's about someone that overcomes the struggle.
So that's all you said to him at
he
the
just
time.
told me, and I said, shit, that works really good, and I'm honored that you would use my music to write about your personal battle that you had.
But that, and once again, that goes to show just how close you guys are or have grown to be as a band. The fact that, you know, you can write something and he feels comfortable enough to do that, and
Yeah.
put something personal to your music. And yeah, mate, that is absolutely a credit to you to be able to write something that somebody else feels they can open up to, because, and that's the power of music, isn't it? Like, normally he might have shared that with someone close, maybe like with Micka, but then he has shared that to the world in the sense that he's put it in lyrics to a song that you guys have produced and released.
What?
So
One of
that's
my sorry, Vinno.
no, go for it, man. Go for it.
One of my favourite moments through the whole album process actually came from that song too, because on Facebook, counting down to the release, I did just a picture to do with each song, and then a quick, or not always quick, but a spiel about some facts about the song or what it was about or how we wrote it or whatever.
Yep.
When we got to shout out, I had a picture of Chris's wife, now wife Christine, and I asked her if I could use it. She said, yep. And then I got Chris to write something for me to put on. And it was about 5 sentences long, and some of mine were paragraphs long, right? And I can't remember off the top of my head what he said, but I remember when I got it and he sent it to me, it was just like, it's perfect. Like, it was basically like, you know, all this stuff's been said, and how much he loves her, and how much, you know, she taught him on what it meant to fight. And, you know, this 3-sentence little thing, I was just like, holy shit. Like, I never thought. Chris is a pretty funny, outgoing kind of guy, like, holds the center of a room when he's in it. Like,
Yep.
I never thought he had that much emotion about him to put on public show. And so when I got that was pretty cool too. So,
But you've now shared that as a band, and especially with Chris.
Yeah.
You've maybe helped somebody else find that strength.
yeah,
and I
and it was
suppose
one of them.
that's the power of music, isn't it? And this is one of the things that we want to promote, especially with these sorts of episodes. The music that you guys are putting forward is an expression of not only you, but it helps other people, as you guys have said earlier with some of the songs that you've written before. So that's huge. That, you know, he's been willing to do that.
With that song Shout Out, like, so obviously I have only listened to these songs once or twice, you know, in preparation for this, and this is what I've got for it. Obviously, this is a shout out to people that are doing the best they can, and it's a very supportive feel to the song, and you can tell that it's about fighting cancer. But what I love about it in the lyrics is it's talking about putting a face on for other people. So it's not just, you're not just fighting this battle yourself, and you're not just constantly in pain, and it's not just battle, but you're trying not to affect others too. There's a selflessness in this fight, that's indicated in the lyrics there, that I thought was just, you know, that they're trying not to affect, you know, I'm not trying to affect your day. You're putting this face on for everyone else, and it's just such a deep song, and that's why I even had it. It stood out, and that's why it's in my top 3 of the album. Epic, beautiful song, lads. Beautiful.
It's a
song.
really good ender, yeah. And I had to look up what he said because it would have got the better of me. He said, "My wife Chris battled several hits of triple negative breast cancer over the course of 2 to 3 years. This song is a shout out to her and everyone like her that has had to fight cancer. It's also a shout out to the people who are there for it as well. Because it isn't until you're affected directly that you understand the real battle, grind, and determination it takes to get through it. So to keep it short and sweet, here's to my beautiful partner who showed me what true strength looks like. Here's to all the other people out there who've had their own battles. And here is to all the people who will have this battle ahead."
Yeah.
So when I got that, I was just like, wow, man, that was sick.
And here's cheers to Chris and his wife for
He's doing
fucking
well
getting
now.
through.
For anyone that
Excellent.
doesn't know,
That's what we
she's
want to
doing
hear.
really well.
Fantastic. So now, boys, I suppose the big question, Dave, have you got? Sorry, before I go any further,
I'm gonna run through these
go for it.
things that I picked up from listening to the album real quick. So, Children of Faith. Then there's something that stuck with me. I grew up as a little Catholic boy in Ireland, and I went confirmation, communion, confessions. And when you say because there's a confession aspect to this song where he's like, say your 3 Hail Marys and all, and it fucking touched me, and not in the way it's
Right
touching
on
people.
the penis, touched him,
Yeah.
like a Catholic
But-
priest.
Well, the whole say this Hail Mary and that Hail Mary, there's your dogma, now fuck off. It hit me, all right? And we'll try and wrap it up a bit, and so I'm not gonna harp on too much. But that little thing in the song touched me. I don't know whether the lyric meant very much to you writing it, but to me, that it made it real or something. Because that's your penance, isn't it? A confession.
It is. I tried to be clever with that, like talking about getting down on your knees. Like, is it saying a prayer or is a priest forcing you down on your knees?
That's
Like,
right. No. And it's done tastefully, innit?
Yeah.
And
It was just the way that Micka just said it. Then are you doing it willfully? Or are you being forced?
But the way it's like, say your 3 Hail Marys. Like, I remember being told to say 7 Hail Marys, and I was like, and then you're forgiven. But then we got blinding light through tired eyes. Talked about this earlier. It was like the end of the first half of the album. The speed's been reeled back a little bit, but it's more epic and ballad feel to it. What's that song quickly about? While Vinno's off doing his piss or whatever.
not wanting to get up and go to work.
Yeah.
It essentially, just everything being too fucking hard. Actually, a lot of that is when, so we go and do band weekends and tours and shows or whatever, and getting to do all that shit and like have people ask you to sign set lists and CDs, and for me, like the time you're on stage, like nothing else in the world matters when you're on stage. There's no sexism, racism. There's no like being on stage or at a live gig, even watching a live gig is like freedom.
Sure.
So you go and do that all weekend, and then you come back, and then you've got to go back to your fucking day job, and your alarm goes off, and there's this little bit of light that comes through my blinds at the top of me blockout curtains, and that was it, blinding light through tired eyes. So
You're back in the system again.
Yeah.
And then track 7 for You Are a Witch. Oh, sorry, Darcy. Hit him up.
Yeah, sorry, like just for being someone who wasn't involved in the core writing of that song, like I added a bit of color here and there, but the outro of that song like is perfectly for me, like blinding light through tired eyes is I'm an alcoholic or I'm a drug addict and I'm waking up from a bender, and like the way you hear that the snare on a drum kit, and like we purposely recorded that like outside of the room, like we had the mic up in the hallway, we had the door open, we just had like Micka was just like fucking as hard as he could, just destroyed his fucking snare drum to get it to reverberate, and like it sounded to me like a headache, like.
Yeah.
And like, and then the last chord, like chord feedback. It sounds to me like someone who's struggling with addiction.
Yeah.
There you
Blinding
go.
lights, through tired eyes. You know, like here's another day of my addiction. Like
And
that's what it sounds like to me.
the chick who does the second verse harmonies with Chris is actually from a band called Friends of the Enemy in Queensland. Probably my favourite Australian band. They just brought out an album like a month ago, which is amazing as well. If you like our album, you'll fucking love that album too. And she nailed it. Like I said, all I did was send her and Stu the song and say, I want you to work with Chris. Like, basically, she did everything opposite. Like, so when Chris goes up, she goes down, and like the way it works and goes through the chorus and that second chorus, sorry, that second verse, Chris wrote the lyrics roughly about like some of the things he was feeling about him and Christine when they're going through their cancer stuff as well. So I said, you know, basically, I want you to be a chick harmonizing it like it's two sides of a relationship. Like, I'm depressed because I got to go to fucking work, and like you probably think I'm fucking depressed because I'm back off tour and I don't want to be here. Like, so the way that she wrote the harmonies to opposite Chris to the whole lot of it, like I was always heaps stoked on that as well. I think that's pretty cool.
What's that? What's their album called? Friends of the Enemy. The newest one. Is it Divide and Conquer?
Yep, that's it. It's
Yeah, there you
fucking
go.
awesome. It's really good.
Check it out, guys.
Get on there.
Yeah.
Friends
Good
with the
record.
Enemy. Divide and Conquer.
Ne-
Get on there.
It's #1 album of the year on Punk Rock Mag for 2022.
Fucking right.
Nice.
Now,
Yeah.
now track seven, I think we touched on this a little bit. For You Are a Witch and Witch Yourself Born. Obviously, I love the scene started this with the fire and the wind, accompanied by just that guitar intro before that fast, almost kind of like trashy riff, that galloping, that you know. Oh man, I really like this song. I thought it was a beautiful change. And yeah, really digged it. Really digged it. And to hear that was nearly the theme of the album, the mind blower. I love it.
Yeah, I think too, because that some of those riffs in that song were by that stage, like 10 years old. I'd had them. I just could never fit them into a song that would work until we stumbled across pictures and finally putting it all together. And that's written about a really good friend of mine who's done a lot for me in my life. It's written about someone that's destroyed part of his life. So that was a cool song to do too. I reckon it would have to be probably my favourite on the album.
Fuck
It and
yeah.
Heather.
Fuck yeah.
Track 8 now, Truck Stop and Sunsets. This one really hits for, I guess, the weight of a band being on the road, right? This is one of those songs you want to play in your car. And it's got that nostalgic feel to it and all. What's that? Is it really that?
To be honest,
Yeah,
I
it's
would have preferred this being called like Villy Pies and Hot Dogs. Like from truck stops and shit.
yeah.
It's
Truck
just a
stop
tour
food.
song. All the guys, when we were demoing this, Darcy and Chris and I think everyone except Josh maybe, no one got it at first. So like, this song is too pop punk for this. I was like, trust me, like, I need this song in here somewhere to break shit up a bit. And
Yeah.
I wrote the first verse when we were sitting in the truck stop at Grafton on the way back down after a Queensland run. We always stop there with the band to get food. It gets bypassed now, but we still take off-road to go there because we just got the best milkshakes between here and fucking Brisbane. And we get good food after eating shit food for all weekend. Like, they do like home cooked meals there. Like, Josh gets the rissoles and vegetables and so,
No
that's
quarter.
it's just
No
a tour
quarter
song.
will turn off the fucking highway to get a milkshake at
Well, they
Grafton.
changed that highway up north, right? It used to go through Ballina and Kempsey and all, and now it's straight up.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it makes it quicker, but you don't get to stop at Grafton unless you go off. So we make
You
sure
don't get the
we still do
culture.
it.
Could almost do an
Yeah.
ad for that. That's almost like a
say-
fucking horror movie ad.
This summer, a punk rock band pulls off the main highway into Grafton just for some pies. Next, they're met with explosive diarrhea from off milk.
Now, before we get into Heather Brooks, where are you? Darcy, did you have something you wanted to say about that song just there? Truck stops.
Mika just said the guys didn't get it. I will say that I was totally there. What you just said, like I didn't get it, and then not saying I didn't get it. Like I did get it. I just wasn't my favorite song. And then we played the cunt in WA, and when we got to that, like after the first chorus, there's like a halftime bit, and I remember just looking out and just seeing everyone just like. I was like, that is a fucking good song. We need to have that song every set, man. Like that's
Micka the mastermind, eh? I was nearly
it's
knowing
funny,
Darcy,
like,
knowing
it's
Darcy,
funny,
and after
like,
he's had a
I'm
few
not saying,
scotches.
like when you need to go as fast as you can, but I noticed that the
Hills and
halftime
valleys.
things
Hills
are
and
the things
It's
that
part of the album, right?
get into, man. Like,
See, knowing
Now-
Darcy, when he said, I just didn't know about this song. What were your words exactly? You weren't
Just didn't
sure.
get it.
I'm not-
Just
I'm
didn't
not
get
saying
it. Yeah,
I'm
when he
not
didn't get it. Knowing Darcy, I was waiting for
Well-
him to go, not that I just didn't get it. I just didn't fucking get it. Right?
I know what they mean because
Yeah.
it's
So what I
like I
said,
was
you
saying.
just better rewind it. It's probably what I said.
This album itself has lots of those songs that I feel fill you with nostalgia and a band on the road type of vibe mixed with
Yeah.
some serious deep fucking
Yeah.
shit. Now this
Yeah.
next track, Heather Brooke, where are you? Are you talking about the Freedom of Information campaigner Heather Brooke, who helped expose
Micka's
people in the
giggling at
Spencer
it.
scandal? Or is
Micka's
this
got
someone
some
else? Who
serious
is this?
meaning behind it.
Who's
Look at
Heather
him.
Brooke?
You know who it is. Even if you don't know who it is, I bet you know who it is if you see a picture.
Well, I was going to say there's another Heather Brooke that it might be that
Oh,
we might
that's-
know.
That's the one.
Yeah. I think the younger me knows that Heather Brooke. I think we've all, if lads,
Any male between, I don't know, probably, how old are we? 38? Anyone between probably 43 and 36 would have to know Heather Brooke.
That
I reckon.
explains
He was there for
Micka's
us.
fucking cheeky grin that nearly wiped out half the screen because it fucking.
And I ummed and ahed about this song because I was like, is it appropriate these days? And I was like, we'll just be tasteful about it. And my missus is furious because she's like, this song is so fucking catchy. And I love this song. But I fucking hate that it's about a porn star. Like, she's furious.
and what she brings out of you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's another type of art, right? That's another type of art that helps us get through them times, right?
The thing
everyone-
the thing for me is it's a love letter. It's a love letter to the 90s. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like what the
love
band is, to be honest. It's about all the shit in the 90s. And when we were kids, you know, it's about Blockbuster Video, obviously Heather Brooke, Tamagotchis, all this shit, you know.
Napster.
Pokemon cards, Napster, fucking
There's so many little Easter eggs in that song. Like,
Yeah.
the style it's written in reminds me of Enema of the State kite vibe. Like,
Yeah.
just the stuff we reference and the way it feels and the melody. And my theory was like, yeah, everyone our age like knew Heather Brooke. She was the very first homegrown like internet porn star who got rich and just off like Napster and LimeWire videos and then just fucking gone.
Took off.
And I was like, fuck, we were just drunk one day. Like, I think it was in the band chat. Someone said, like, we were talking about something. Someone said, oh,
happened to Heather Brooke.
sucked me off. And then someone sent a gif of Heather, like, and they were like, whatever happened to that chick? And I was like, holy fuck. So again, I said earlier, like, I write songs about weird shit. I was like, whatever happened to that chick? I reckon that'd be a good song. And then to do it tastefully, we made sure we just referenced the 90s heaps. And the chorus is probably the worst part, about 4 boxes of tissues. But I figure if you're going to
Yeah,
if you dive into a joke, then you got to go all the way.
You
don't
do.
That's the
Hey,
chorus.
she did.
That's the
She did,
nuances
so
in the
why not?
verse.
Yeah.
Did we ever find out where
back.
she was?
She's back.
Oh,
you mean?
Because of that song.
She's
Back
back,
in
baby.
black. Back in black.
When
I
we
just-
were halfway through doing the album, like she's fucking made a comeback, and
oh, she's probably got cum on her back. Yeah.
Get that song to her. You gotta get that song to her.
I wanted to hear the song. It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
Can I just call out how smoothly Darcy worked her into Civic Video, Heather Brooks, Tamagotchi?
Civic video,
right?
man.
He just,
Oh,
or was it Video Easy? He went from
video
like something
easy
so
guarantees.
something so innocent, Heather Brooks, and then onto Tamagotchis. Like it was almost artistic.
Yeah, you know,
love it.
like Heather Brook and Tamagotchis and Pokemon cards and fucking Ronnie fucking.
I love how she sings the song. Like there's a break his voice does when he says like, "You suck down, I suck down a Coke. You suck and don't choke." Like every time I hear him sing that line, I'm like, "Fuck, we did it." It's so good.
There's a couple of I've got to get to one of them by track 11. But track 10, we've already talked about it a little bit. Hashtag cry for attention.
Everyone's seen the video clip for that one.
Yeah, we had it on earlier today again. It's that social media addiction, the validation people crave from it. We had the cool notification bell fucking sample in it, the lovely little guitar solo at the end. Lads, that's a fucking good song. And that's a relevant song now. And yeah, good social commentary.
Yeah, I think it had to. We always thought, well, not always, but pretty early thought that'll be the single because it gets to the lyrics quick. You do a good video of it. It's something everyone can relate to. Darcy and Paul wrote, although I think Darcy might have ended up writing the majority of it. That solo section at the end.
I love that lovely little solo at the end of that, Darcy. That's the shit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, that was the way that one come together was I said to Paul that I want to do this as in start with solo, then have dual, and then finish it up. But yeah, that's just the way. And I had a little tune in my head. It's basically what become that solo, and yeah, no, me and Paul got together and sort of worked it out. But yeah, we just sort of done that whole song one night when we were tracking, well, when we were demoing, I think, and Paul just said, "Here's some chords I've got," and we just sort of finished the whole song that night. It's pretty magic, actually. We just sort of just banged it out, and then we had all this awesome music and no words, and then Micka said, "Live with me, boys. You know, I'll get back to you within a week or something." And he had the whole lyrics. So
In a week.
Oh,
That's what stands out for me. I love the lyrics of this song because I think that's a serious shit nowadays. That's ruining people.
Yeah, I think all lyrics were Micka. Is that right, Micka?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, on this song I did. Chris come up with some of the chorus. Both verses were me, and I wrote it with a specific person in mind who reminds me very much of that whole Instagram attention-seeking mess. And I know people talk about Facebook, and Facebook's bad for misinformation and all sorts of stuff, but like Instagram's terrible for the imagery for young girls. Like I've got two young daughters of my own, and
scary.
People can
also-
present an image or a lifestyle that's completely fucking inaccurate. and
It's
that's
so
damaging
fake. It's so
not only
fake.
to mental health, but personal image there.
Yeah,
because
and that's what
it's just so fake. Yeah, like you said.
So they talk about Instagram, like you're teaching people to, instead of you're teaching people to get information from a picture. Like that's how toddlers read picture books. Like, and you
People
can
get their news from
whatever you want.
memes now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my take on the whole thing, and I had a specific person in mind who used to shit me to tears. So.
No,
Well, it comes
you're
down to that old
absolutely right.
saying: picture speaks 1,000 words, right? And that's you see, 10 pictures of somebody living a lavish lifestyle, but that's not the lifestyle they lead. You're led to believe that they lead that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like
It Yeah, it's not doing good for people. I mean, all the data is shown now that it's actually making people miserable and more depressed, and all the big studies that have gone into it have been by social media companies. It's kind of like the tobacco companies. They were the first people to know. They were the first people to know. Tobacco companies knew how bad this was for people, and so are social media companies. They're right now they're in a survival mode, and I think that the data is going to bear that out. And I think you're absolutely right. The way people are kind of living through these social media accounts and trying to present themselves in a certain way on Instagram through a picture. My life's great. Look at this. And then you're looking at other people and you think, man, look how good their life is because of this picture they fucking posted.
Influencers,
It's so unrealistic.
influencers should not be a fucking profession. I'm just saying that.
No. I think
If you're
too,
an influencer, like, just fuck off. All right.
I actually think there could be. I actually think social media, if it was used how it was originally intended, could be good. Like Facebook,
Yep.
it's helped me touch base with friends that I hadn't seen since school and whatever else. I think if it was used properly, there would be good parts about it. And even like now, like I used to be really bad on Facebook. I used to argue with people and all that sort of shit. Now I just basically try and share shit out of my life that makes me happy. So things of me kids or band or
He does
whatever.
it. That's what he uses
I've
Facebook
been,
for.
look, I'll be
fucking-
honest. I'm an internet guy from the 90s. Like I was on chats and forums. I use the internet very differently than other people. Other people put themselves on the internet. I kind of use the internet to kind of have fun. So I look at stuff very differently. When I see people take it that seriously, it's a bit hilarious to me because I use the internet. Like I go on Power Rangers forums and I start shit and talk about who's the best Red Ranger type of shit, because that's what the internet is to me. The internet was never real life, but it became real life and everyone's obsession to the fact where I'm standing back and I'm like, wow, people fucking they're taking this to heart. Where the internet to me used to be, again, somewhere you can gather with mates and chat shit, but also somewhere to fuck around. It's not real life, you know what I mean? But man, I also like to talk politics on the internet as well, because it's one of those places where I can burn bridges,
Yeah.
where I
So
don't have to, like, yeah.
I used to like that sort of stuff because I like talking and hearing someone's side of the story and going back and forth. But I think a lot of that translation gets lost in writing, but I don't bother
Yes.
anymore. Like I just, everyone thinks you're trying to change someone's mind when you're not. And
A lot of
social
misinformation.
media gave everyone a voice, but not everyone knows how to use it. So I just I try and just share stuff now that makes me happy and I don't know, bring other people a bit of happiness as well. And then some people take that the wrong way. Some people go, oh, you know, you're sharing how perfect your life is, and I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm just sharing shit that makes me happy. So
Yeah.
no, it's a tricky
positive.
one.
Now, speaking of shit that makes you happy, oh, Dave, did you have one more song to go, or?
3 songs, real quick. The Nights We Won't Forget. I like that was a kind of, now we're back to a return to nostalgia. I like to play with words. The nights you don't remember, they're the ones you don't forget. As soon as I heard that, I was like, yes. Those nights where I'm like, I wake up the next day and I'm like, fuck, I'll never forget them. I'll
That's true,
never
isn't it?
forget those nights. It almost just made sense from hearing the lyrics. I know, Vinno, I know we got to wrap it up. That song, Return to Nostalgia, great stuff. Do we have anything quick we want to say about that?
Yeah, you got most of that song. Again, it was written about a friend of mine who was murdered in a one-punch attack in Brisbane.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
the second verse, and that breakdown bit and the chorus is about him. He starting a company at the time called Broken Skateboards. So any skateboarders out there, check them out for decks, shirts. Got some really cool logos and stuff. So there's a bit more in depth to that song.
Again, listening to it once or twice, not good enough, people.
The most important thing from that, don't be a fucking dog cunt coward and punch someone in a one-punch attack. Don't be a fucking dog cunt, right?
So he's got a
You're not a-
memorial.
You're not a
Sorry,
fucking
Karen.
hero. You're not. You can't turn around to your mates and brag about it and fucking say that you flogged someone in a fight. If you're going to go up and hit someone when they're not fucking looking, then you're going to be a dog cunt. just fucking do the world a favor, walk in front of a car. And I'm not going to say that to everybody, but if you're that sort of person that's going to go out and end somebody else's life and cause them fucking misery, I don't give a fuck
It's the most
what you do with
cowardly thing
yourself.
you can do.
Just get the fuck out, right? Because it's happened far too often lately. I suppose social media has brought it more to the limelight, but it has been throughout our culture, and it is far too often praised or hyped up over the fucking internet about knocking someone out, and half the
World
time they're not
star,
even fucking
king
looking.
hits.
Right? If you can't take someone on, if you get to the point where you have a fight with a physical altercation with somebody, and you can't have them out one-on-one while they're looking at you, then fucking walk away and do something better with your life, because you're not a hero. You're not a fucking legend. You should be kicked the fuck out of by your mates, because if your mate is doing that and you are supporting it, you're a fucking dog as much as they are.
Yeah,
Right?
it was
Because
pretty brutal.
it's the lowest of the low.
Yeah, it was brutal. He's got a memorial now that every time we go to Queensland, we go and have a shot with him. And we actually haven't played that song live yet. When we do, it's going to be fucking brutal. But I know where I want to do it for the first time live. So hopefully we can get back there and do that.
But isn't that crazy how I experienced that song without knowing what's going on? I'm like, I took from that the nights you don't remember, then they're the ones you don't forget.
And that's what I wanted to like. That's how he.
Because it's two sides of that coin, right?
That's how he lived his life, man. He was a party animal. Like he lit up every room, and I wanted that song to be like uplifting and nostalgic, and it's probably one of the poppier ones on the album. Like, and so
it did feel good. But now that I know the truth, I'm gonna listen to that a second time, and I'm gonna vibe with it. But again, the beauty of music, isn't it? Some of the best songs in the world. There might be some better, like deeper meanings behind them, and I can't wait to revisit that one. Now, 12 Salesman. Like, what a raw opening riff, right? First off, now what is this about? People changing their views and selling out? Are this about grifters? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
Car
Actually,
salesman.
this is so Josh and Paul's band, before they joined No Quarter, we used to gig with them back in the mid 2000s. This is actually one of their songs. New Sedition was the band name, and I just thought it'd be really cool for them to record one of their old songs. We sort of made it a bit quicker in some parts and changed a lyric or two to make it a sort of a bit better and a bit more modern. And I just thought it'd be nice to them to have, because they helped us out by joining our band. I thought it'd be nice for them to have a song that they wrote, all that back then, re-recorded, and it's one of the best on the album. It's a ripper.
I like that song.
Yeah.
That's my second favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
My top 5. But great song. And then last one, like I know we talked about it already, but shout out everybody, check that song out. This is obviously a song about fighting cancer, and yeah, I loved it. And again, I think it's a very supportive song, and to hear more about what the song's about earlier on was just incredible. What I took from it again was, this is a shout out to people doing the best they can while fighting cancer, while going through that struggle, but also trying to put on that brave face so that they're not, you know what I mean? Like, when one person's fighting cancer, it's a whole family, right? It's everybody is together trying to take part in this struggle. And yeah, what a great way to end an album. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, boys, getting into the new year, 2023, you're touring off the back of this. You're doing some live shows all over the place. So anybody that's keen to get on, like, I'm going to encourage you to go out and listen to see these boys live, support them. But there's some big news coming up as far as touring. You've got an international tour coming up, correct?
Yeah, first one.
What?
First one. Let's hear it. Can we hear it? Can we hear it?
Yeah, we're going to Japan in June next year. So it's all
yes.
booked, ready to go. 5 nights straight in Japan. We start in Tokyo, sort of go down a bit and then back up. So yeah, it's going to be one hell of a time.
That is
I really
fucking
think so.
amazing, boy.
How good is that shit?
Yeah, so we're all got to try and learn a bit of Japanese and practice.
Domo
and-
arigato.
yeah.
You disrespect the family. No,
Oh, Darcy. Darcy-san.
dude, Japan is such a great hub for music as well, and they
Yeah.
give a shit. They give a shit about music over there.
They love our
That'd be
genre
great.
too. Like they still love our genre, like just fast melodic stuff. The venues look amazing. The people that are booking it for us, R&R tours, have been fantastic. We actually had it booked previously before COVID and Mrs. Partner's cancer. And we obviously had to cancel with all that sort of stuff. So for them to be so keen and willing to take us back after all that has been really good too. So
Fuck yes.
I can't wait. Like it's been a lot of work so far, a lot of emails back and forth in different languages, and that language barrier is always difficult. But been a lot of work so far. But I think most of the work's now done, and it's now just a matter of trying to figure out how to get all my gear to Japan and count down the months until we get here.
Fuck yes.
So,
Now, anybody that wants to get on and support you, like your stuff, come and see shows, where can they come to find upcoming shows, recent releases? What can they jump on?
wherever all the music's everywhere, normal, like Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. Bandcamp, we've got our own Bandcamp, YouTube, all that sort of normal digital stuff these days. You can still get CDs and vinyl through the label Melodic Punk Style at their Bandcamp. He's actually about to release a second variant of the vinyl because the first one's almost sold out.
Yep.
I think you can get I think there's a couple of Freedom vinyls left as well. I'm not sure. So go to him for all that. Any merch online, we've got at epicmerch.com. There is 1,000 bands on that page. There is such good merch and flat rate shipping. So if you buy like 3 or 4 shirts, for example, last time I got like a Pulley shirt, a Wilhelm shirt, one of our shirts, and a Hack the Mainframe shirt delivered to me door for like $100 for 4 shirts. That's a pretty good price.
Value
We've got
for
heaps of
money.
stuff on there. We get a good cut of it. So that's where all our merch is. Facebook is probably I keep the Facebook page going pretty regularly with all our shows and whatnot. Darcy actually runs our Instagram, and I often piss myself at Darcy's Instagram sense of humor. Like, it's good that I don't run both because I don't have the drive to do 2 social media pages all the time, but having Darcy with what he does, I really enjoy it because I'm reading it like a fan, but it's a different perspective, I guess,
Different
on what
take.
we're doing.
Yeah.
And he's got a really funny sense of humor. So check out our Instagram as well if you're that way
Very
inclined.
dry sense of humor, isn't it? It's
I love it. It's
said
so
with
funny.
a straight face.
So yeah, and just how like when we play a gig, you'll see Darcy drunk in the pit, like streaming and doing stories of the other bands, and like I just love getting to see that shit. So.
Legend.
In the pit.
In the pit.
I recently went down to Melbourne to see Good Things Festival.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was NoFX's last ever show in Australia, but they told us on the day that no, it's not. They fucking stitched us up so many times, the cunts. But
That Mike.
I said, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go on stage dive and fucking crowd surf to this NoFX song. And Andre's there filming me, and he says he said it was a porpoise. Says, he says this guy just go, up, yeah. Just jumped up and no one caught him, he just went back down.
Oh, fuck.
You're the fucking porpoise and the fucking crowd surfing, man.
That's just
You
showing that
gave
grey
it though.
beard.
You got in there, mate.
right.
You had a
Enjoy
go.
it.
I had to go, mate. I had to go. I got up there and I got dragged over the front. And no effects were fucking great that day, man. It was so good. They played punk and drum league start to finish.
Fuck yes.
It was the best.
Well, boys, look,
Classic.
thanks so much for coming on. and having a chat to us. We've absolutely loved it, and we've loved listening to the albums leading up to this episode as well. For anybody that's keen to support these guys and get on and have a listen, we strongly encourage you to do so. Fantastic blokes, great music. Get out there, give them the love and support that they deserve. Put a lot of hard work in and keeping the punk scene going. So Dave, unless you got anything else to add, mate,
I'm really glad that these lads kind of give me an excuse to kind of get back and delve into another album again, and I think it opened up a lot in me again to just jump into albums again, because this has been a great experience to witness an album from the start to finish, and then to talk to the people who fucking writ it and to find out the truth behind the songs. Man, unreal.
I think it's a huge credit to the boys, the fact that you've even listened to a new album in the last 10 years, man.
It's been dead. Davey got his groove back. Like that vibe. Like my wife will thank you, for this. Like it's. I swear to God, it's like nah. It's good to, and that's from an atheist saying that. It's been good to get back into music and listen to an album from start to finish again by some fucking good musicians, and then to hear the extra bits about it and behind the scenes. Thanks, lads. Thanks so much.
So you'll find the links in our information that Dave handles down the bottom. Get on there, click it, look into it. We'll have links on the Facebook. Yeah, so we've got...
get the link trees. Yep.
Get straight onto it. Go and check them out on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music.
All platforms. Anywhere
where you can find them, give them the support. They deserve it. Fucking good blokes. So...
We're in Melbourne the first weekend of February for 2 shows. So any Melbourne people come.
I want to go see No Quarter now. Now I want to fucking go see him live. You know what I mean? When he in the basement. We should do a live episode. I know he's been here before.
We have a couple of times way back, but this time around, the couple of times I've tried to come to Canberra, it's just fallen apart every time.
Dead here. It's dead here. It's dead.
And it's so, like, I thought, maybe we could.
It would be perfect.
We might have to get down to Melbourne and do a live episode.
Let's do it. Vinno, come down for the fucking Melbourne shows. I'll come with you. Let's go see him.
Let's do it. Anyways, here's cheers to the boys. Raise your glasses. Thanks again, lads, for coming on. We love you and appreciate it. Don't forget to tune in.
Go Carlton supplying the
next week is
the booze. Carlton draft. The Carlton vibe here.
Next week's going to be the Christmas episode. So dial in, check that out. But thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us, man. Thanks for listening to all our stupid shit.
No, good shit. All the good shit.
Appreciate you, boys.
See you, lads.
Boys.
Sitting with this pen in hand, writing how we miss you every day. Tears fall from my eyes, they fall and start another empty page. It's just too hard, the thoughts and lots of memories I've of you. I hope I always make you proud in my life with everything I do. I know you're watching over me, although I want you here. The world won't be the same without you, but they need you up there. This is not goodbye, forever in our hearts. It's time to close your eyes and enjoy the air up there. Enjoy the air up there. A life well lived, but taken early, not quite ready to let you float away. Simple, smile, but not a whisper. You bled wisdom every day. It seemed like time was not an issue until time took you away. Goodbye, my friend, my family, the reason I'm this man today. I know you're watching over me, although I want you here. The world won't be the same without you, but they need you up there. And this is not goodbye, forever in our hearts. It's time to close your eyes and enjoy the air up there. Enjoy the air up there. Enjoy the air up there.